once you saw the way that the money could get made, you just looked at the $20 an hour and thought, what the is that? I'd made $250K, nothing was hard. I was just making money whenever I wanted to. I'd work match betting for 3 months, make $50K, then stop.
I just knew that the more money I had, the more bonuses I could get, and then the more money I could make. I was just in that mode of like make money, because I could farm free money.
And it literally just completely changed my life because one, it meant I found something that I was passionate about and I loved doing and I loved the challenge of it. I loved making money. I loved beating the bookies, like sticking it up them. And it just gave me something where I was like actually working for myself.
Well, I'll never have to worry about money again because of match betting. So we made $1 million combined from match betting through our 20s. And then on the back of that, we've built a community which has conservatively made more than $50 million over the past 5 years. However, this didn't all start last week. It started back in 2014 when I first came across match betting. I was 22 and I was studying full time. I had about $2,000 to my name. And to that point, I was a low-end gambler. I maybe play some multi here or there, $5, $10. But one day I actually lost $1,000 from a footy match. I tried to make $100, putting $1,000 on $1.10, and unfortunately lost that money. And then I had about a 9-month stint where I didn't touch betting because I was scarred from that bet. And then one day I had a bonus bet on Bet365. And it was a Saturday night. I clearly remember it. And I was sitting there on my computer. And for some reason, I looked at that bonus bet and I thought, shit, what if I put the bonus bet on one team and then put cash on the other side? And that moment there, I still remember it. I thought I was a genius. I called up Kiro, my best mate at the time, and he said, yep, that works. And I turned it over. I think I made $45 from a $100 bonus bet. And looking back on it, I actually made a mistake, but the cash bet ended up winning. I made $45. From that point on, I then fully changed my life. As I said, had $2,000. I started signing up to all these bookies, made some money. And after about 3 months, I'd made $20K and I was traveling through Europe. Thought I was king of the world at 22. So I guess I wanted to share a little bit about my story and then get you guys involved in terms of how you guys got involved into what this business is today and how the system was built. And we're going to go really deep into the storytelling of match betting and then how we met, how we came together, and then talk about how this business has become what it is today. But I'll continue that story. So I was still 22, went overseas, came back, and I actually had a gap year because I fell off a bike and broke my face. So I had to have a gap year. But I was actually planning, because it's my last year of university, to just go out there and just match bet full time and make money. Because once I discovered this, my whole thought process around money changed completely. It was like I'd never really worked. I'd worked casual shifts here or there, $20 an hour, $18 an hour. And to then be able to make $1,000 in a day, $3,000 in a week, things like that, you start looking at the world differently. And it's fair to say that my whole money mindset changed from that point on, and you can never undo it, because once you saw the way that the money could get made, you just looked at the $20 an hour and thought, what the fuck is that? With full respect to the $20 an hour. But fast forward over the next 4 years, I actually finished my degree the year after, but through this time, fully lived off my match betting. I wasn't making hundreds of thousands. I was making 10K, 20K here or there in a month. I'd have a break of 6 months. At this point, I was only really making it off sport. So we'll get into the match betting promotions and the stories a little bit later. But I whizzed through 2014 to 2018. Through that period, I reckon I would have made around 100 to 150K. So nothing crazy to this point. Over 4 years, it's like, I don't know, 50K a year, which is enough to live on as a 22-year-old living at home. I moved out of home at 23. Still traveled, spent the majority of that on travel as I was going through. Always had like a kitty of 20, 30K in my bank. And then I think in 2017, I teamed up with Tom, potentially 2018. And we started a little bit of a different operation where we were just farming bonus bets and making some money off that. And it was interesting to get someone else involved, because through this time, it was weird because I only had Kiro and not many people could understand that you can make money off betting. Everyone just laughed at you. I didn't really like talking about it. And then I got to the point where got someone else involved. It was fun to work with Tom. And then over the next couple of years, we sort of doubled our profits, came across new methods, early payout offers, 2018, etc. And then all the way to 2020, I'd made 250,000. And to that point there, that's when I had a pretty big life event where I think my dad was into his second year of motor neuron disease, obviously terminal illness. And I was a bit sick of just making money for the sake of making money. And a lot of people find this hard to believe because it's like, fuck, why wouldn't you just keep going? But I'd made 250K. Nothing was hard. I was just making money whenever I wanted to. I'd work match betting for 3 months, make 50K, then stop and not do anything for 6 months. And then I'd just get bored. And then I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And then one day I had a bit of a reality check moment where I was like, I actually don't like my life. I don't have any goals. I don't have any purpose. I don't have any happiness. And it was the start of the lockdowns. And me and Tom were running an op at the time, little operation. I don't know, we're making probably 2 to 3K a week combined. It's not that much. And I pretty much cut him from the operation because I was sick of just making the money. I knew that if I'd cut the match betting, I'd have a bit of adaptation, forced adaptation to want to actually focus on something because I had no money that was feeding me anymore. So I took away that. And then through this time, I'd started some side hustles as well. I'd never really hit one. I always knew I'd hit one eventually. But then Hero came to me with the idea to start this business. And that's when it all started for me. We'll go back to the business and how that was started a little bit later. But I wanted to give you guys the floor as well to talk about your match betting introduction. Maybe start with Tom, because I think you started a little earlier than Steve. When did you start? How did you start? And tell us your story. And also, yeah, welcome to the pod, guys.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome as well, Steve.
Cheers. It's good to be.
Yeah, I think it's important when speaking about these stories to reflect on like where we started. Like I was a full degen punter, like fully as degen as you would. Like members that join our community, most of them are, you know, degen punters, if you will, or have gone down that path. And that's where I was for sure. Like going to the tabs, 16, 17, 18, putting your 5, 10, whatever I had, $5-10. My nonna used to stay at my nonna's house on a Thursday night and she'd give me canteen money on a Friday and I'd spend half of it at the canteen and whatever I had left, I'd put it in the tab machine on the way home at the Oakley tab. No, legit. And then I was 17, 18, just sitting there. And I had older mates, Rob, who's no longer with us. I used to go to the tab with Rob and he would just, whatever he had, because he was working cash, he would just like filter it through trackside, like just chasing the 11. So I remember those days very fondly, but that's where it all started. Like I didn't realize that you could make money from betting. I thought I was going to get rich, but like I would just be betting those multis. So I did that 17, 18, 19. I was working at the school that we went to doing afternoon sport coaching and whatnot. And I wanted to make more money. I'd started saving money. I realized, like, I tried to stop my betting because I realized I was losing money. So I at least had that kind of epiphany that it wasn't making me much money. And I only did $5 a weekend. Then I joined a Facebook group I thought this guy was a tipster and he was talking about how if you join, they will make you profit and then you give them a percentage of your profit. And I was like, sounds fair enough. Like, I'm not paying for anything. It's free to join. And if I make profit, I'll give this guy money. Like, that's a great deal. So I joined and then he told me, all right, this is what you do. Join Palmerbet. He told me like 3 bookies. Join Palmerbet. I think it was LuxBet and there's one other bookie. And he's like, this is what's going to happen. He said, how much money do you have? I said, I have about $1,500. He said, put in 500 here, 700 here, and $300 here. What will happen is you'll get these bonus bets and then I'll tell you exactly what to bet on. And if the bets he's like, the bets will make profit. I was like, yeah, right. He's like, the bets will make profit and then you give me 25% of whatever you make. Fucking great, whatever. This guy sent me about 10 bets over the weekend. I placed them all. Lo and behold, Monday morning, he sends me a message and goes, this account will have this will have this will have this. All the money's turned over, take it out. You've made about $900, send me $220 or whatever it is, and happy days, free money. So I did it and the money was in my account. And then I was like, what the fuck? So then I went into the accounts and looked at the bets and worked out that he was doing a bonus bet here and then the cash bet on the other team on these. And I worked out that he was betting against each other, right? And then I was like, what the fuck? So then I started looking at other bookies that I didn't have a tab account. I didn't have a certain couple, I think Ladbrokes at the time didn't have them. So I opened them up and that's how I worked out how to do it because I just copied what he did and then I made money. And then I recall fucking JP speaking about it here and there at the school. I reckon maybe be to Nipper or someone. They were asking how your betting's going or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm doing this thing with bonuses. And you're like, yeah, bro, I've been doing it for 2 years. I've made X amount. And then I was like I remember going home going, I haven't got enough bonuses. Like I need to make more money. So then I started, for me was a light bulb moment of, okay, wow, there's heaps of money. This guy's traveling and doing this. That's exactly what I want to do. I remember I went to Europe for the first time when I was 20, all off the back of match betting. After that conversation, I was like, I just need to get more bonuses. I think I might have gone and used my dad's accounts as well. Like just realized like, holy shit, I can just get bonuses and make money. So that's what I did when I was there. That's how I discovered it. Now, even still in my early 2021, 22, I was working the whole time. So I worked in a factory packing boxes for flybys. I did that with 3 of my mates through one whole summer. It was fucked, but we made a fair bit of money, which helped me. I just knew that the more money I had, the more bonuses I could get, and then the more money I could make. So that's what I was just in that mode of like make money, because I could farm free money. Then I was a debt collector, did that with Platinum Pete. Platinum Pete was my manager, which is funny looking back on that now. And I was still match betting, but I was also at this time as well, because I was making money from these bonuses, I was still a bit degen. Like I used to only bet $5, but now because I knew I could make $500 or $600 in a weekend, if I lost $100 betting, I didn't care because it wasn't my money. So I was still doing the degen stuff. I'd still go to the races, hang out with mates, drink beers, do all that shit. I remember like sometimes I'd have big weekends and, you know, we'd go out to like Arcadia Hotel or whatever and I'd just buy everyone an espresso martini because I thought I was a king. Like do all that kind of shit. Like, you know, I don't want anyone to think that like I was just this robot that as soon as you worked out, like I was still doing all the degen shit and whatever. But then I think it got a lot more serious when I reckon I pitched you. Or I remember speaking to you and I'm like, man, why don't we just team up? Because you were talking about how you were running into these roadblocks and I'm like, I can solve that problem for you, but I need like more capital or I need more manpower. So if you do this side and I do this side, if we team up, we'll make a lot of money. Yeah. So I think that's kind of how it started. I remember the coffee. I saw the photo that you put on YouTube when we had the coffee and planned it all out on a notepad or whatever, or a napkin. But yeah, and then from there, I think it started to click more and more. It's like I can just make so much money doing this. And all I would do, similar to yourself, but I was still working a job, is I'd bank heaps of money from my 9 to 5 savings. I'd live off some of the match betting, but I'd just keep banking money. And then as you said, then I just go away for 4 months. And I did that a few times, did all of South and Central America. I did Europe a couple of times, a couple of little trips to, you know, I did Sri Lanka and a couple other places. That's what I did. That's what I enjoyed. I didn't really think about setting myself up financially at the time. I was just young, mid-20s, early 20s. Fuck, I can just go away in 4 months and think I'm the biggest king ever and forget that all this other shit in my life exists. And that's what I did with my money for a period of time. And then as we started to get more serious, like as lockdown came, I was like, all right, no, well, I can't go away now. So I wanted to start banking coin. And that was like when you had your epiphany, this is fucked, we're just making money for no reason. And then you were like, I'm done. So at that point in time, I was like, fuck, this sucks. Like I just had a massive income source. I was getting JobKeeper, which was an absolute fill up for doing nothing. I was match betting, making money. So I thought I was the king in lockdown. Then that all happened. And then it took probably like a few months for you to find your feet. I was still doing some match betting here and there, but nowhere near as much as I wanted to. Probably just being like a Suki victim at the time, I would have been for sure. And then from there, I guess we'll dive into the business stuff later, but that's probably my journey to match betting. What did I use it for? How much money did I make? I don't know, 350K across that period of time. I would have spent 200,000 of it on travel. I definitely always still had, you guys laugh at me because I'm still a planner with my money. So I definitely always had a nest egg, which helped me do certain things when you finally told me to like quit my job for the business. Like if I didn't have that money set aside, I know for a fact that I wouldn't have quit. So I was always responsible enough to have a nest egg, but that's what match betting allowed me to do before the business, is just travel, do whatever the fuck I wanted, not have to worry about certain things. Think I was a king buying people beers and shit, go to the races. And if I lost $100, I didn't care because I'd make $1,000 the next day. So that's what it afforded me to do. And then, yeah, obviously led up to the business, but we can speak more on that later.
Nice. What about you, Stephen? Welcome to the pod as well.
Thanks, John.
Where did you start? Maybe give us a rundown on, tell us your story even pre-match betting.
Pre-match betting, I mean, how far back do I go?
As far as you like. After high school, maybe?
After high school, well...
Start with your ATAR.
Start with my ATAR. No, well, I was always a good student. I always studied hard, worked hard, always very math science based. So I studied engineering out of uni, aerospace engineering, and I did pretty well through that. I mean, I think I finished my degree, double degree, aerospace engineering and business, high distinction for both of those degrees. But like, honestly, it came natural. Like, it wasn't hard for me to do that. I just was a really good studier, I guess. But towards the end of my degree, I did an internship in Berlin in 2018 with Siemens, one of the biggest engineering firms in the world, developing high gas turbines, like high-end gas turbines, $250 million products. And I was helping develop basically a door handle in in the gas turbine, like something so tiny. But that's what these sort of products were. But essentially, for an aerospace engineer to be studying that, to be working in Berlin, to be with this huge engineering firm, I was doing well. Like, for someone who's come out of school to go to uni, to go and do that, like, you're doing well. But I hated it. I got to Germany and I never really enjoyed engineering, but I continued to study it because I just thought, well, I'm good at it. I'm good at maths. I'm good at science. I'm good at problem solving. I'm just going to continue to do this because for some reason I had this idea in my mind that when I would finish my degree, I would all of a sudden start I would start enjoying being an engineer, even though I hate studying it. But for some reason I thought once I got into the workplace, I'd enjoy it more. But I don't know why I thought that, because they're literally training you for what you're going to be doing. But obviously I didn't have that foresight then. And then I had this year internship in Berlin and I just hated it. And it really just like killed me because prior to that, this was 2018, prior to that, my whole life was just in a bubble in Rosanna. I played cricket in Rosanna. I played tennis in McLeod just down the road. All my mates were there. My family was there. My girlfriend was there. Life was great. I played sport. I drank beers, I partied, I smoked weed, and I studied hard, and I was getting really good results. So there was no reason to believe that anything in my life was going poorly. And then I go to Berlin and I lose my whole comfort zone. Like, every part of my comfort zone is just completely gone. And so then all I was stuck with was basically this internship of engineering that I fucking hated. And I had no other support networks around me to distract myself like I did when I was back home in Rosanna. So that really was a wake-up call, and I was supposed to spend 12 months in Berlin. I only spent 9 months. I came back 3 months earlier for a couple of reasons. It was coming into winter, and winter in Europe sucks. I also wanted to come back to work another year at the Oz Open because I was broke, and the Oz Open was 3 weeks and get paid $4,000 for 3 weeks. So I was like, I need this money, and it meant that I didn't have to delay my final year of uni. So came back a bit earlier, but I was in a really shit headspace. Probably the couple of worst years of my life because I just lost all confidence. I developed huge social anxiety because I had no confidence. I didn't like what I was doing. I'd fully just lost direction with life. Finished my engineering degree, and then I was like, all right, time to start match betting. Obviously, I'd known JP for 4 or 5, 6 years at this point, and I knew you were match betting, but I just never had found the time because I was in a comfort zone. In Rosanna, I was comfortable. I didn't need to go and do anything crazy. But at this point, COVID hit. I was like, all right, may as well start match betting. And it literally just completely changed my life because, one, it meant I found something that I was passionate about and I loved doing and I loved the challenge of it. I loved making money. I loved beating the bookies, like sticking it up them. And it just gave me something where I was like actually working for myself as well. And I reckon I knew in about 2019, which is my last year of uni, I knew that I wasn't going to be as successful as what I could be in life if I was working for someone else. I just knew it because I always got the best out of myself when the motivation was internal. Like when I wanted to do something, when I wanted to get the most out of it, when I wanted to go and learn something. When I was working at the pub, I wasn't a bad employee, but I was never going to get promoted to be a manager. Even though I could have easily done those managerial roles, I just had no desire. There was no motivation. I'm working for someone else. I didn't give a fuck. But when it came to match betting, I just became obsessed with it. It was numbers, it was money, it was data, it was everything that I loved. And then with that, gave me a lot of confidence. I started to feel like myself again over about a couple of year period. And then, mentally became a much healthier person, I suppose, too. But from there, made sort of 40 or 50 grand in my first 6 or 7 months match betting. I still remember getting all the deposit offers, making $2,000 in the first sort of couple of weeks. I was like, how good is this? I was telling people, and I could just tell people were looking at me funny, like, what the hell? Like, this guy's gone from engineering to working in Berlin to now he's coming home and punting. Like, it was just, that was what people, and it was like, this guy's like lost the plot. That was the general gist that people were giving me. And I was like, I knew it was working. I was living at home with mum and dad, and they just trusted that what I was saying was correct. They had no reason, like I was never going to lose my life to gambling. Like, I'm too sensible in that sense, I suppose. Although I did love to punt, don't get me wrong. But I always knew when to stop it. But Yeah, $2,000 off deposit offers. Then I started doing the horse promo method, and that started working. I remember the first day I did that, I made $160 on the first day doing that, and I was like, fuck, this actually does work. Probably did that for a couple of months.
Explain what that is.
The horse promo method. So horse promo method is when a horse comes second or third, you get a bonus bet back for coming second and third. And essentially what you can do is you can place a bet with Sportsbet, back the horse to win, and then you go and lay the bet on Betfair. So that means if the horse doesn't win, you get paid out on Betfair. So you've backed the horse on Sportsbet on the bookie. Doesn't have to be Sportsbet, it can be any of the bookies. And then you go and lay that exact same horse. So no matter what one of your bets are going to win, either you bet on Betfair or you bet on the bookie. But if the horse comes second or third, you're going to get a bonus bet back as well. So ideally, the ideal situation for the horse promo method is the horse comes second and third. You get your money from your bet in Betfair that you've laid the horse on, and then you also get a bonus bet. So then you've basically lost $4 or $5 of real money, but you've got a $50 bonus bet, which you turn into $40. So you've made $35 for every time that would hit. So that was the horse promo method. So I started toying around with that, and then that started to work, and I was tracking every single bet. And then I started playing around with all the data and started thinking, hang on, what happens if we didn't lay these horses? And the profit just started skyrocketing. And then that's when we all started, I think I told you about it, and then you told Tom about it, and then we all started smashing basically what started to be then Trumpy's Tips was based out of that method. And then, yeah, that was really the start and somewhat of the end of my match betting for a first stint. Got to sort of December, and then I got a job at the bank. And probably in hindsight, I still don't know whether it was a good thing getting a job at the bank because I learnt a lot, but sometimes I wish I just made $500,000 off match betting instead of working at the bank for 18 months. But you learn a lot of skills working at the bank, so who knows? But then, yeah, we got into it.
Yeah, nice. No, cool story.
Something funny you said, I'd be interested to know if this was the same for JP. It was definitely the same for me, but I feel like JP was known to be more of an independent thinker, do your own kind of run your own race type thing. He talks about like when he was selling cans at school. Like that's probably my first interaction with JP ever knowing him, is like he was just selling cans at school, undercutting the canteen to make a buck, which is genius. But you spoke about how people thought you were mad. Like you would tell your friends about it, match betting, do this, like it works. Here's how you make money. And they were just like, bro, what the hell are you doing? I had the exact same experience. I remember when I started working out and making quite a bit of money, I was almost begging my mates to do it. For what JP was saying, like you have no one gets it. No, he had no one to talk to. I could still go out and have beers and I was doing all that stuff, but like no one understood that I was just printing money. And I was like, man, do this, do that. Oh, too hard. Can't be fucked. So I felt like you, like everyone just thought I was literally mad. Like you are nuts. And I remember when I quit my job, like actually quit, my parents were like, what are you doing? Like far out. I also quit uni as well. I probably didn't touch on that, but I was doing comm law, like wasn't a full DGen, didn't get Steve's ATAR, but I was doing all right. But I remember just sitting in uni all the time for like 2 years. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Sitting in there like learning constitutional law. And I'm like, bro, this ain't it. So then I quit that, and then everyone was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, how are you going to get a job? And all I remember is like, I'm printing money, man. Like, even if I make 50, 80K in a call center, what I was doing, I'm like, if I make 100K on the side, I'm making 180K. 8-10 years ago, whenever that was, that's heaps of money for a 22-year-old. So I'm like, yeah, bro, you might go be a lawyer in like 8 years, but I would have made 180K for the 8 years before you start making 150. I'll be $1 million ahead. That's all I was thinking. And I used to just always think about money in terms of like, how can I stack it away? How can I get ahead? So that's probably where it got me. But it was interesting that you said like people thought you were mad, because I remember that like so clearly.
Yeah. So 2020, obviously COVID had hit, and this is when I started heavily match betting, and I was on JobKeeper as well. And obviously I couldn't spend my money on travel in COVID because we were locked down. So every single Saturday night I was basically just hitting the beers, launching, buying anything and everything. And I could. And it was the first time in my life where I literally just had what felt like infinite money. It wasn't even that much money.
Yeah.
But it was like I was getting JobKeeper. I was also working like 2 or 3 shifts at Woolies during the week. And then I was making like probably $2,000 a week on average match betting. And at that point I was like, I just have infinite money, and was just buying Uber Eats, getting like staying up till 5, 6 a.m. every Saturday night. Like I used to love Saturdays. Saturdays would just launch, and I'd wake up, it'd be 10 a.m. and I'd be like excited and just knowing if we hit, I always used to think of it with Saturdays where I knew that we'd be launching into probably about 30 races, because I remember Sportsbet would be offering bonus back every single race across 3 tracks. And sometimes then you'd get Palmer bet at Morfettville and stuff. So I remember thinking we're probably going to be launching on 30 races each Saturday. And if we hit 10 winners out of these 30 races, it's going to be a full-on fill-up. That's what I always remember. And I used to go through the races at the start of the day and be like, yeah, that's a winner, that's a winner, that's a winner. And I'd start trying to predict the days. And I actually got reasonably okay. Like some days I'd be like, strap in, this is going to be a big one. And then so I used to get so excited for Saturdays, and then Saturday you'd be pretty cooked by sort of 7, 8 o'clock. And then I'd just go straight to my girlfriend's house and we'd just rip in for the next 10 hours because that was all that we could do. And it was so much fun. But at this time I was with a bunch of people, like we were breaking some COVID lockdown laws and people were coming over and whatever. Yeah, good.
I'm following that.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy that we were. But I used to just remember sitting there, like we just find ourselves sitting in, this is going to sound so silly, sitting in like a bathtub at like 4 a.m. because like that's just the weird, like it was COVID, everything just got weird. And I used to just sit there, guys, saying to my mates like, please, everyone, do you want an injection of $20,000 into your back pocket? That is what match betting is. And no one ever did it. No one ever did it. Some people are now starting to come around now, but at that time, no one ever did it. Couldn't believe it.
There are people coming around now, but the same people.
Coming from the trees.
Literally, all the personal like contacts. When I first started, because I was at uni, the first thing I did was just straight around the classroom, just whose accounts.
Yeah.
Like, hey mate, I've got this thing. Like,
I was never that rogue for ages.
I'll give you this much money. Basically, I did what Tom did on the Facebook group, but I just did it myself. And then I actually got on the phone with people and told them what bets to place for them. Like they would place the bets for me. I did this with my mates at the start. That's how it started. And they just laugh at me like, bro, you're making $20. Yeah, man. And then I'll make 50 and 100 and it just adds up. And no one got it. And then eventually, I mean, at 22, a few people traveled, but no one was traveling every single year to Europe or wherever. And when people started seeing that, I think they started to realize it was real. But yeah, you're right. Most people... There wasn't many people that didn't believe it was really my circle, but they just didn't do it because you could make way more gambling. You could. And that's why some of my mates, like people in my school network, because they always used to do multis with me. I used to do it as well. I used to drive to the tab, Scoresby tab on my bike, 19 years old, $5 multi, EPL, 5 legs, go ride at it on 10 to 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, Sunday morning with my mates, and then lose by 1 leg. So eventually it was like, fuck that. And then that's when I came across it. And then I just didn't gamble again. I fucking hated it. I used to laugh at people. And I was so disciplined that I didn't even place a gamble bet, I reckon, for a good 4 years. It was just all robot. And then would you say when you made, because how much money did you make in like your first 2 years from it?
Not that much.
Like 50?
Yeah,
30?
probably enough to do Europe. Enough to do Europe back when it was...
Yeah,
didn't cost a bomb, and still come back from Europe and have 20K savings. Yeah. So maybe 35, 40K probably.
Yeah, because when people say, "Oh, you made 300K," that's not that much money over 7 years. They're comparing it to what shit costs now.
Yeah.
Back then, a Europe trip, literally the flights would be $1,200 return.
Yeah,
or even less.
I reckon less. Yeah,
and you'd spend 10K and you'd go around there for 3 months.
Yeah, I did 10K like not worrying about money.
Yeah, but I mean,
whereas 10K now would be like a month on an actual budget.
Yeah. And I stayed in, at the time I was young.
This is 9 years ago.
Yeah, I was hostels.
Yeah, same.
But then once I started making more, I would just launch whatever the fuck I wanted to. Like there was a dog sledding trip I remember in Norway that cost like $1,500. And I'm just like, yeah, done. Like, because I could just make it. And I actually started match betting overseas to make more to pay for what I was doing. I just log in, make $700, be like, cool, there's my fucking flight to wherever. And the question I want to ask you boys is, when you discovered the ability to make money like that, what would you describe the feeling of not having to think about a decision money-wise? Because I'm talking for myself. Because like I said, I would just, I want to do that. I want to skydive. And it's $900 to jump out of a plane in Dubai. Fuck, that's expensive. I don't care. I'm doing it because I can. Not many people actually get to experience that feeling. And it somewhat morphs your whole... Like you said, you were just launching shit on whatever the fuck you could buy, even though you thought you didn't have that much money. It's just, bang, I can do that. I'll do it. How do you think that makes you feel once you discover that feeling?
No, it's pure freedom. Pure freedom. Whenever I used to travel, so I've traveled a little bit, done a few trips around, and when I would go on holiday, whether it was a long trip backpacking or just a weekend trip away, I always was of the mindset money doesn't exist on holidays. That's how I like to live. So I was very like strategic while I was working and at home and stuff like that. And I was, would save my dollars. I spent a lot of money on alcohol, but I was still very sensible. And I wouldn't just go and spend money on completely useless shit. Although, alcohol, you could probably argue that, but it was a social thing for me. So when I went on holidays, it was always, no, I'm not worrying about money, because I used to hate the idea of not being able to do something. If I'm on holidays, I want to be able to do whatever the fuck I want to do. This is my time. I've earned this. I've worked for this sort of thing. Now that's somewhat normal now, as in every day, because of the financial freedom that we've been able to build up and still building up. But it is just pure freedom. It's just not having to consider, can I do this? Should I do this? Is this silly? Is this sensible? It's just being able to do whatever you want, and that is just a massive weight off your shoulders, and it's just liberating. I can't describe it any other way. I don't know if Tom has anything to add.
Hey there, hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you're not yet aware, we have a free course which will make you $1,000 completely risk-free. All you need to do is watch 5 videos that go for a total of 32 minutes, and you'll know how to make $1,000. On top of the videos, we're going to give you a bookie list, odds chart, calculators, and a spreadsheet, so that you know exactly how to make $1,000 risk-free. If you want to get that free course, just jump into the description of this video, click the link, and you'll have access to it for free.
I still don't even really now think about the freedom of having more money, but the way that I used to always think about my money, because even when I was working, I would do the same thing, is I used to break things down, especially when I was working like at the call center. I'd be like, I'm 400 hours away at this rate from being able to go to Europe again, or whatever it is, whatever the savings, like I have to save 10K, I'm getting $40 now, or whatever it is, 250 hours. That's how much I need to do. That's how I used to think. So when I started doing the match betting, I was like, bang, I just banked 2K. That's 50 hours less at the call center. So that's kind of the way. I didn't really think about it as in I can buy anything. I can do whatever I want. I just used to always be like goal focused on money. Once I get X amount, I'm going here. Once I get X amount, I'll buy this. Once I get this amount, I'm going to go buy my car. So I used to just see it as, I guess it is freedom, because freedom is just time. But I used to just see it as like when I did this on a Saturday, it would just knock 50 hours off how many cold calls I had to make to collect debt. And I was like, that's fucking elite. So that's kind of the way that I looked at it, as opposed to like, I have so much money now, or I'm like, I can do all these things. And I did go and buy people drinks and do stupid shit like fucking drugs and whatever. Like I've done that as well. But that's the way that I used to always look at it. So I was just like, I'm just getting back hours, or I'm getting closer and closer to going to Europe again, and I don't have to sit here and fucking cold call people to collect their water bills. So that's the way that I looked at it. But I do see it differently now, and the way that we're helping people in our community is like, because so many people are just working jobs that they full on fucking hate, and I've done that. So instead of looking at it less hours that I'll work the job that I fucking hate, it's like, maybe you don't have to work it at all, or it gives you the flexibility to then go and pursue something that you want. And as I said to JP, if I didn't have that 20K savings when he said fucking quit your job, probably wouldn't have. But because I had it from match betting and being the way that I think, leads to bigger and better things. And it's just like one good decision after another, which is kind of what you were speaking about before. Like you just keep stacking and stacking and stacking, and then you just, you come to these crossroads, and it's bad decision, good decision, like another crossroad. And if you make like 10 of them in a row, you end up 500 times better off. You probably got mates. Like I have mates that I remember in the same position at the start of lockdown as well. We're the exact same. We probably both got 20K, both getting JobKeeper, both doing a little bit of match betting, or just knew that it existed. And then you look at where they are now versus where I am now. Not that it's a comparison, but it's like you can see the decisions that they didn't make. And that's what I want to help like people moving forward. It's like, so when those people reach out now that are, you said that people are coming from the clouds, that I begged to do match betting 6 years ago, man, do it. Because where they're at and because of where we are now, the 6 years different. Like we've ended up over here and they're still back there. They're like, well, how'd you get there? Fuck, it must have been that match betting thing. All right, I'm going to do it now. And it's like, man, I wish you did it 6 years ago. Where would you be?
It's insane how much of an impact match betting has on your life outside of turning over a bonus bet.
For sure.
Fully incredible. How would you describe it? What differences, having done match betting and understood everything that goes with match betting outside of the actual methods of turning over a bonus bet, horse promo method, yada, 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 how has it impacted your life?
Well, it's obviously made me the money that I had the freedom for. Obviously, that's the first thing. So my whole money mindset is fully changed forever. I'll never have to worry about money again because of match betting. Not because I have money for the rest of my life that I don't have to work again, but because I know I can make it whenever I want and the opportunities that it's given me. But even just the way that you can look at risk, which most people won't be able to understand in the real world. No one thinks about upside. What is the potential I can win here? What is the potential that I can lose? And understanding the mathematics of if I enter into this game, let's just say this promotion makes me this much money per bet on average. And I can understand that I don't have to win every bet, but in the long run, I can't lose mathematically. That enables you to make similar decisions in life because you then make your decision-making metric is like, I'm not doing that because I can see the downside. I can see what can go wrong. So I'm just saying no to that straight away. But that's, for me, has come from match betting because it's like, I'm not doing a multi-bet with no promotion because that's going to make me lose. And in the same way, I'll make a decision in life because I can see that's not worth it for me. And that has come from match betting because I've made so many good decisions with entering into decisions where I know I can win the game and saying no to the games that I don't win. So why would I play a game that I can lose? And therefore now in life, that's been the big one. The other one as well is, I'm trying to think, mainly like Tom mentioned the nest egg. I call it war chest. When you have a nest egg or a war chest, you have the freedom of not being forced to work to survive. So if you quit your job, for example, having the 20K there or 30K means you can literally maybe not work for 6 months and do nothing. Obviously, you wouldn't do nothing, but you can just work on something that you actually want to do. Like you said, for you, it was you hated working for someone else. For other people, it's like they hate their job, quit it, they can't because they have no money. If you get that nest egg that we've made from match betting, you can then be like, fuck the job, I don't want to work for that boss. I'm just going to make money for myself. And then you get really good at that thing, you make more money, and then just opportunities will start opening up because you have the flexibility to make them. Whereas if you're forced to just fucking survive all the time, you don't have the mental bandwidth to actually make those decisions where you have survival mode, like constantly, oh, fuck, I can't like not work this week because I have to get paid. Otherwise my rent's overdue and I can't pay it. So that was the big one. It's just you create this gap where your income's just so much more than your expenses and then they can never catch up. And then it's just game over.
Yeah.
That's for me the biggest thing.
Yeah. I'll throw to you, Tom, as well in a sec. I just want to add to that. Layla Hormozi, who Alex Hormozi's wife, she talks about what you just said then, but in a business point of view. And she talks about if you don't have time to plan, now you're sort of saying you don't even have time to get ahead because you're so worried about getting or focusing on the now. You're not worrying about getting ahead in the future. And this is it's the exact same concept, in my opinion, that Layla talks about with business. And she's the CEO of acquisition.com. And so she's always talking about meetings and planning for the future and organizing and structuring things. And she's like, if you don't have time to take time out of the now to think about what you're trying to do in the future, aka like plan ahead and what are you trying to, like where are you going? If you're too worried about the now, then that is the biggest like light bulb moment for you to say stop and start thinking about what you're trying to do. Like stop now and try and get ahead. Does that make sense? I'm explaining that poorly. But like if you're so focused on just surviving, then you're never going to get ahead. And that needs to be the light bulb moment that you need to have to go, all right, I'm going to take a step back from what I'm doing and actually starting to think and plan about how I'm going to get ahead, because you're just never going to otherwise. So she basically says, if you don't have time to plan, then you are the most important person that needs to plan, or like that is the most important thing that you need to do if you don't have time to plan. But yeah, an interesting way.
There was a guy in the DMs yesterday who wanted to join Platinum and he has no money and he's going on a holiday and his holiday's in June and he's like, man, he was asking us for money. And we're like, bro, like you need to sort your income and expenses out because there's something going wrong there. And it's like, that's if you're just crossing out like income expenses all the time, you're just doing like, where are you going? So you need to either drop that, which is harder to do. For some people, it might be easy because they're spending on fucking rubbish. But if you just learn how to make way more money, then all of a sudden this just goes ahead and then this just, you're doing this. And then you don't care about this anymore.
I want to ask you about that because I reckon when you say that, I reckon that concept that you describe triggers people more than most things, I reckon.
Why?
Because I think people hear that and they go, oh, you can't just make more money.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which is fair.
You were about to throw to me before, and you said like, "What is match betting?" Like, I can't remember what the question was, but
What's the biggest thing that's changed?
Yeah.
in your life? Yeah.
what it changed for me was, why do people do side hustles, right? People do side hustles because they have at least had that thought that I'm just breaking even. If I just keep breaking even, I'm not going to get ahead. They try a side hustle. They realize that it's fucking hard work. Doesn't matter what you start. You're not just going to become rich overnight, and then they give up. Matched betting worked straight away. So it was a side hustle that just started working. So I knew that I would be like, I didn't know until I did it and saw it, but then it made me money. Most other side hustles don't make you money straight away. So I guess it taught me that, or it gave me the confidence at least that if we try something different, or me, if I try something different, I've had a win, like I've had success and I could make money here. So if I know that this can make me money, because I've done it, seen it and experienced it, then again, JP pitches you the quit your job and let's do this business. All right, the last time I tried to do something on my own or went out on this venture, match betting, it worked. So then I think I probably looked at another opportunity as, well, if that worked, maybe this will work. Whereas for a lot of people, if you try your side hustle, and I would have been the same if I did this, if you try a side hustle and then it doesn't work, and then I come and pitch you another side hustle, man, I've been down that path. It's, it's fucking brutal. I didn't make any money. I actually lost some money and now I have to work even more hours. So for me, it was like, this worked. And I kind of saw it and experienced it and learnt it with JP, like to those levels. So then he pitched me this new thing and I'm like, well, why wouldn't it work? Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, it was just like, this has already worked, so the next thing might work. Whereas a lot of people, if you encounter a roadblock or it just gets too hard and then you give up, it's kind of like you just delete side hustles forever. This shit doesn't work. These people are doing it. It's a scam. That's not for me. This is how I'm going to get there. So I think that was the light bulb moment, or at least the realization that if this worked and he's pitching me this, fuck, may as well try this because the other thing worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you build momentum, you build confidence in, your decisions and I guess what can possibly happen. And I guess that is the beauty of match betting, because it literally cannot not work. Like, it's fascinating that you had so many different side hustles that, you wouldn't call them a failure, right? But they didn't exactly...
Well, they worked, but they just did nothing. Like, I'd spend hours sending out eBay items and you make like $500 in a week. Mate, it's pretty good. Like maybe $200, $300 in a week. But man, like you're relying on some guy around Australia to buy your shit. You get one sale, you make like $12. So you got to get a few of them. Yeah,
but you also have to organize like getting stock and what are you going to sell and how do I set up my eBay account and do I have a PayPal account? And there's like 40 different like 100%. Barriers and it still might not work. Whereas if you see a match betting video, the way I thought about it is I watched the guy do it and it worked. So if I set up this account and if I put $100 in and I put $100 in this one and I have $200 of bonuses, I know that I just made $150 after I use the bonuses. So it's guaranteed. Whereas for all those other things, sure, you might do it, but like you've just skipped 8 steps that probably most people would look at and go, oh, fuck that. Get a PayPal, link my PayPal, make sure I get verified on eBay, find the goods, sell the goods, ship the goods. It's just like, man, fuck that.
Yeah. I will share through this whole journey from 20, you said I sold soft drink cans in school. That was like 2008, 2009. After uni, so I studied as an osteo, I actually still did the side hustles through there. So like there was eBay items, there was phone cases, there was iPhone chargers, there was iPad cases, and there was MacBook cases, One Direction hoodies and bracelets, ticket scalping even, like that's illegal, but oh well. And there's all sorts of things. I actually got stopped outside of Amy Park once for scalping tickets. So I had a ticket that I was trying to sell and then I ended up giving it away because the guy's like, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, sorry, mate, I didn't know. But there was actually a time when I did start making some really good money off eBay, but then it just stopped. And then I just kept doing it. I would have made like 20 or 30K off side hustles. But yeah, when match betting came, that all just went away because it was, like you said, it worked instantly, but it was also how much you could make. Like you can't make 10K in a month off eBay unless you're fully printing and you've set it up for 12 months and it's flying. And the instant gratification of match betting, even though we don't like to sell instant gratification, it works instantly and fuck, it prints. So you can get fast progress and then that does give you confidence to just do more of it. I guess let's talk about some of the actual ways we made money, because I know we did a podcast on this back in 2021 and people loved it. It was talking about all the money we made from match betting and how we made it. So I'll go around the room and ask you both what your favorite period was. I know you kind of touched on yours before with the lockdowns. So we'll go to Tom first. What was your favorite period / favorite promotion that you remember?
There's probably two questions there. My favorite promotion was the World Cup one by far, only because I was in Europe. So the World Cup promotion was Sportsbet, Ladbrokes, and Bet365 all had the same promotion. And the promotion was if you bet on a team head to head, if they're leading at halftime, you get paid out as a winner. So essentially what that created, now a lot of people would listen to that and go, who cares? But what that created was an opportunity for you to bet on both teams and the draw. So you would bet on Australia on Sportsbet, you'd bet on Brazil on Bet365, and you'd bet on the draw wherever. But I used to just use Ladbrokes because it would just be like a non-promo bet. So it would look like I'm not fully abusing the promotion on every single bet. So then what would happen is if Australia or Brazil were leading at halftime, you'd get paid out so Australia leading at halftime, Sportsbet pay you out as a winner. But you still have an active bet on the draw and you have an active bet on Brazil. So then you would be watching the game. I was in Europe at the time for the World Cup, which was unbelievable. So I'm sitting there watching these games. It's already fun, knowing that if there was a team that led at halftime, I'd already been paid out. And then at the end of the game, if it was a draw or if the other team won, I would get paid out again. So you get paid out twice. So you would be risking, depending on your stakes, you'd be risking, 1 or 2% of your total outlay to get back 200%. You'd get back a win and then a win. So you'd win twice for risking like a small amount. So for me, that was the most fun because I was in Europe watching the games, knowing that there was just these huge upsides. And I think it hit 8 out of 40 games or something, which is a ridiculous hit rate. Made a lot of money doing that. So that was probably the most fun.
It's a lot of money.
I was doing it with my mate Brendan at the time because I was in Europe. I didn't place any bets, but I said, I've got the Bankroll. This is how the promotion works. Log into these accounts, do this. This is how I'll make. I don't know the exact figure, but it would have been like 30 or 40 grand from the World Cup promo. But I'm in Europe. I haven't placed a bet and I shared it with him. I think he got like a quarter of it for doing all the bets. So that was elite. But the most memorable times of match betting, I still think were when I was like doing it with, so I think a lockdown, driving, like going to the gym. It was when you could book in a 1 hour. So it's still lockdown, but you could book in a 1 hour gym session at Good Life. So Saturday morning, wake up like Steve, get all excited. This was my favorite part of doing it. Go to the gym, knock that out, sit in the car park at the TAB. You'd pull up next to me, get into my car, open up the laptop, and then start hitting the TAB did bonus back to 5th. So I remember going, and that was every race, 3 tracks. So I remember like logging in and being like, wow, this is unbelievable. Half the races, it was like 4 or 5 runners and they'd still pay you out. So I'm like, there's just all this free money. Sit there Saturday morning, get all the bets down. They're all placed, happy days, go back home. And I just watch the races all Saturday. I wouldn't place another bet because they'd all be placed. And that for me, like that was the most fun. And then probably the funniest promo was when Sportsbet did the wheel spin. So Nathan Brown would like spin a wheel and whatever team it landed on the wheel, all 16 or however many teams there was at the time, there'd be a wheel and whatever it landed on, Sportsbet would pay out all of the bets placed before 5 p.m. on that team. They just pay you out as a winner straight away. So you'd be like getting in groups with mates and be like, all right, I've got $1,000 on every team and they spin it or whatever and it lands on like Gold Coast. They're paying like 14 to 1, you just get 14 grand paid out. And you're like, thanks for coming. Then you go make sure you bet on, so you hedge your bet out there. And I just remember that like being like, that is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen because they just spin the wheel, it's paid out, everything else is hedged. You're risking $100 across the whole round of AFL, but you could make 13 grand if it lands on Gold Coast. And there was one, I think at GWS $7 was the biggest one that it hit on one weekend. But I just remember like that being the big thing and everyone logging in and like Nathan Brown spinning this wheel. I'm like, this is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But that's one of the funniest ones.
That. I didn't do that one. What was that?
It was on Sportsbet.
When?
It placed the
2019 or something.
I was still in the bungalow.
I reckon
I was still working at the bank, so earlier than that.
Yeah, okay. There was a period where I stopped because some bloke took some of my money. So I got fully turned off by match betting for like 6 to 9 months. I didn't do anything because I was like, fuck this. But yeah, that was the time. What about you? What is your favorite promo / time?
Well, obviously I had a lot shorter of a career, I suppose, and came to it a bit later. So I missed out on all those super lucrative promos. I remember the World Cup promo. Actually, my brother was hitting it and he made a bit of coin on it. But once again, I just didn't have any desire then. But it would have been just starting out and just realizing what was going on. And I just remember there were still early payout specials on the AFL, NRL, and there was one weekend, it was COVID, it would have been round 5 or 6 of the AFL, NRL season around then. And I reckon it was Brisbane hit an early payout special paying like $5 or something, and I made like $800 on that game. And the NRL, no, it was Brisbane Broncos were paying like $6 in the NRL on a Friday night, early payout hit. I won like $800 there. The AFL early payout hit, I made like another $400 there. And then I rolled that into a Saturday of, it might have still been horse promo method or starting to do Trumpy's tips at that point. And I would have made, I can't remember, but I remember that Friday night with the early payout, and then it was just ridiculous. Like, that was only $1,200, but I just remember thinking, this is ridiculous. I was telling mates what I was doing, and they're like, oh, you're just scamming the system. I was like, I don't care, brother. I'm making money. It was really weird.
But that would have been your week's wage back then.
Mate, it was huge money. Full-on huge money.
Friday night watching sport.
Just sitting at home, just laughing at the TV. Full-on just laughing.
Fully. I used to get my mates around, or Kiro and Jackson, and we used to all just ride the early payouts.
Yeah.
And just sit there like 5K, thanks, mate.
I think they were the funnest promos, but then the horse promo method, and then into no lay Trumpy's tips horse promo method, you could call it, I suppose. That was definitely where the money then really started to ramp up, having like consistent 3-4K Saturdays, and then they were offering them on Sundays as well. And then I remember I got so carried away one day that I thought that I could just start backing without promos, just fully without promos. And one Sunday I just started launching $100 on races, and I went down like 600, and I was like, all right, we'll call it a day there. And that was where I learned the lesson. I was like, all right, don't get too silly. But there was probably that middle of 2020 was just my favorite period. Because it was all new and you're learning, and there was still that sense of, this can't be real, is it? Like, we're beating the bookies. No one beats the bookies. That was my belief as well, and we see it all the time. People come through and they're like, oh, no one wins. I believe that too for ages. And so there was still just this incredible realization of what the fuck was happening. Was, fun as.
Yeah. Before you speak about yours, I never had that you never win thing, because when you think about how I started making money, and you would as well, it was just flipping bonuses. So promos, there's that element of like tiny bit of downside with mass upside. And if you do it a long time, you're going to make money. So there's probably always, even when you started, maybe that little bit of doubt when JP's telling you to do these horse racing promos or whatever, you could still lose money on a transaction. So it would be hard for some people to grasp the concept. You see people have combos like, oh, but you could still lose that bet. You could. So for you, it's funny, like you got so excited. Whereas when I started, it was just basically just get a bonus bet. That bonus bet is $65.
Well,
that's it. There was no excitement. It was just get that, that's that. Get that, that's that.
I think for me, I discovered the horse promo method by myself. I think that's how I remember it.
The Trumpy's tips version, you mean?
Nah, horse promo method. I remember testing it myself.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wasn't actually sure if this was going to work. I think I remember I told you about it, and you were like, yeah, I've tried this.
I wasn't doing it until middle of the lockdowns.
Yeah. So how I remember it is I tried it and I told you about it, and you were like, I'm not sure if it works. And then I did it, and the first day, it didn't work for the first 12 races. It was a Wednesday, and I was fluctuating up and down. And then the last 4 or 5 races of the day I went hit, and I made $160. And I always wonder, I'm like, if I didn't hit those 5 races at the end, I don't reckon I would have ever continued doing it, because I didn't believe it worked. And I remember that you weren't fully sold on it at that point either. And I did, and I persisted with it. And then the next day it worked again. The next day it worked again. And then I remember I had a couple of back-to-back $500 days on Wednesdays and Thursdays. PointsBet were doing back to fourth on every day. And then it just kept working. And so it was just that. That's why I think I had a lot of that excitement as well, because it was like I'd reinvented the wheel. And then obviously Trumpy's tips came in probably another 2 or 3 months after that.
Yeah, because I was hitting horse promos for $250 a race on the same horse. So 5 different $50 bets, same horse, lay it for about 200 on, or 220 on Betfair. Risk about $30, a bit more than what you said. I think about 10% risk. But then it hit, and you get 250 bonus, and you make 180 from the race after you saw 170. And then I actually got a guy over from my uni course, and I'm like, man, can you just help me place these bets? And he was sitting in my house. I'd be placing them on my stuff, and then he'd be placing them as well for me, and we'd just be getting more on, and then he'd be tracking them all as well. And then he did it for 1 week, and then the second week he just started betting when he was there with me, and I'm like, bro, I'm paying you to fucking bet for me. Don't start doing this. And then I just got rid of him, and then he started doing it himself. But yeah, my favorite time was the early payout for the AFL, which was if your team leads by 20 or more, you get paid out instantly on AFL. And I think it was 12 or 6. 6?
I reckon it was 6.
Yeah, for NRL. So, but the thing is, it was uncapped. So
I think NRL was 6 at halftime.
No, this is before.
Yeah, okay.
Like it was
I can't remember what
anytime.
that was then.
It was anytime.
Anytime.
Yeah,
Maybe it was 10 then.
I think it was 8.
Or 8. Two touchdowns or tries, sorry.
Yeah.
Touchdowns.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Anyway, it was uncapped. You could put 100 grand on Brisbane paying $3, and if they lead by 20 points, obviously I didn't do 100 grand, but they would get paid out 300K, and you obviously hedge the other side. And if Brisbane would then lose, you get paid out twice, like you said with the World Cup one. So I would stake about, I think I was doing like 2 to 5K on every team with a payout. Eventually, my biggest ever payout was a 30K potential on the AFL Grand Final. It didn't hit in reverse. Yeah, AFL Richmond v Adelaide Grand Final 2017. Because I did it on the Saturday before, as soon as the finals.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm sitting at the Rosstown Hotel, half pissed, saw the odds, full up.
Yeah, like $2.20 and $1.80.
87 or something. Yeah. It was a full,
so no
guaranteed
risk,
profit.
No risk. You just do Sportsbet v Bet365. Exact same return, no risk. If one of them leads by 20, paid out. So you're hoping for Adelaide to lead by 20 and lose, or Richmond. Well, they were higher.
Yeah.
Because Adelaide were favourite going into that granny, right? Yeah.
So Adelaide come out and kicked the first 2 goals of the game. I was at the ground. They kicked the first 2 goals of the game. I think Eddie Betts and someone else. I'm like, fuck, here we go. This is going to be good. And then Richmond came back and never got to 20. But if that had got to 20, we would have got a full reversal, and I would have made like 15K in the stands because I just would have pressed cash out immediately because I didn't ride them. We used to ring up. This was the favourite time. It's like, okay, cool. If Port Adelaide's going to lead by fucking 20 points, as soon as they hit 20 points, I'm calling up and I'm rebacking them because I can guarantee my profit. I didn't ride them.
It's the same as cashing out.
Yeah. But it was more sustainable because if you're pressing cash out every time, as soon as it hits, they'd work it out. And Bet365 actually worked it out. But yeah, that was my favorite one. I reckon I made around about, because this was over like 3 years, I reckon it was 2016, 17, 18. I don't know if you did it that time as well, but
definitely not 2016 for me, but yeah.
Yeah, 2016, 17, 18, it was between 70 and 100K. So and then there'd be months where I'd have like a 30K. But I'd hit this just during footy season and then do nothing else because I didn't touch racing until 2018. And then my favorite ever promo that was just a period where I'd make a lot of money. My favorite ever promo, World Cup, same concept, was when Sportsbet launched this one where if you back a player to score the first goal and the first score was a goal, you get your stake refunded.
Yeah.
So if the first play, like it can be a behind or a goal as the first play. It was either one of the two. If you back a team, let's just say I back, I don't know, Lance Franklin to kick the first goal, and then the first score is, I think it was a behind actually.
I reckon
and
it was
the first score is a behind, refunded.
Yeah.
So essentially, you've got the way I did it. I didn't just back the team, back the player, and do nothing. I actually hedged and backed first goal as first play. So I actually halved my risk, and then I had full stake on the player to score the first goal. And if the player scored the first goal, I was making fucked amounts. And I remember me and Kiro actually shared. We had 10 sports bets, and we had $400. It was a $100 promo, $100 max payout. 4 on one player, 4 on another player, like $10, $7, then single. So we had a total of 6 players, but the big boys, 400 each. And one time we hit Walters at 400.
What was the thought process between the other ones? Just to try and
I'm not sure, just to like to spread our load. If I was to do it now, I'd do all on one player or half and half. And we hit, I think, Walters 400 at 16s. There was another one, 400 at 18s. And I still remember there was one, we were sitting at Etihad and I backed Joe Danaher. We backed Joe Danaher 400 at like 13s. and he had 2 set shots, 50 out, and he missed them both. And then we're like, bro. And then we're sitting in the crowd. We had Medallion Club seats, and the flip up, the other game, Port Adelaide v Bulldogs at the time, we had Chad Wingard.
On the screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the first 5 scores were 5 Bulldogs behind. And then Wingard just launches one from 50. And we're just sitting in the crowd just pissing ourselves. And everyone's just like, what the fuck's wrong with these blokes? Like,
Wait, so you've been refunded because it was a behind and then...
No, the refund's irrelevant because we hedge. You just want to win.
Sure.
Yeah, because if I wasn't hedging, a refund would be good.
Okay,
but I'm hedging, so you just reduce the risk to exactly half because you back the first goal.
Yeah,
so you win on that.
Of course. Yeah.
They don't refund until the first goal score has been kicked because if your guy...
Yeah, that was my question is do you get the refund and then the first goal?
You get a refund if it's behind and your guy doesn't kick the first goal of the game.
Sure.
But the refunds were irrelevant because we hedged it out to make sure that the risk was lower. But Wingard launched and he nailed like an elite goal from 50 and we're just pissing ourselves. But yeah, that was my favourite promo. I only made maybe 10K from it. But yeah, that was the funnest in terms of what we actually did. So yeah, I want to share what we did during COVID lockdowns because I don't think people, you shared what you did, but we actually, I think it was June because my dad was sick at the time and I'd just sit in my mum's lounge room. I'd moved out by this stage, but every Saturday I'd go back to my mum's house and I'd sit there and in the room, no one else there, and I'd just sit there on the Zoom call with you both and we just call out the tip to each other. Whoever was saying, yep, cool. And then it's like, how many do you get on that? It's like, yep, 400, 500. Hey there, hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you're not aware, we offer a free call service. So if you go to our website after you've finished our free course and you're on your way to making your first $1,000, we actually have a team that can help you out and answer any questions that you have over the phone. So all you need to do is go to the website, book in that free call, and we can help you out. We'll let you get on with the rest of the podcast. We had those calls during the lockdown, and I don't know if you were on them, but we were in constant texting groups saying, hey, back this. This is a tip for this race. And essentially all we were doing was just doing what the horse system is now. And we were just getting as much on as we could. For you, unit size, I think was
I reckon it'd be 300 to 500 depending. It definitely got smaller as the day progressed because I was very like TAB focused and they usually only did like the first 6 races. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So towards the end of the day, it got a lot smaller. Yeah.
But I remember we would consistently have 4 to 5K days. There was a period there because this is, okay, we'll explain how the business started, but this was already back then what was the system now was called the Hustler Squad. The match betting free course was live. The Platinum wasn't live yet. And there was a period where I started the free course and then I went on this fucking bender of match betting again for like 3 months and I just lost all focus on the course and
I remember
deleted it.
You used to always say, I need to stop. I need to focus on making videos. I need to stop. I remember that happened regularly. Yeah. We'd be like catching up, be like, made $2,000. You'd be like, I need to stop. Yeah. But then you just kept doing it next weekend anyway.
But that's what I'm saying when I started off this whole pod was I just make money and then not have no purpose and goals. And then you just get back into this comfort zone. I just made like 8K in the last 2 weeks.
It was hard to say no to it.
Sit there and just be like, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
But then you don't get anywhere.
But for most people, including myself, when you told me you were stopping doing what you were doing with me, that was literally my thought. I'm like, man, we just make all this money Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday to Friday, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And this is like, they had like the COVID footy frenzy and shit every night, man. I'd be watching AFL and stuff. Like, who wouldn't, like, you think you're a king. Like, who wouldn't want to do this? This guy's already thinking like 3 years down the line, I'm going to be depressed. Like I don't have anything set up, rah. And I'm sitting there going, man, I have 5 out of 7 days where I can wake up and do whatever the fuck I want and it doesn't matter. And that's what most people who don't have the access to be able to do that would be thinking, which is why it's really hard to grasp the concept of, if you were making $5,000 every Saturday, you just keep doing it. And I'm like, well, once you start doing it, you'll probably realize that you wouldn't just keep doing it.
Yeah, but $5,000 to us now is from match betting. I would say that my whole money desensitization is fucked. And it's gone back now because I stopped. But even when you speak to Greenie, you can have like a fucked month. Like you have just think of someone's salary in a month. And then No, but legit though, that's what these top end guys do. And then they look at $1,000 and they just think, well, what's the point of that? And it's really hard to go back to the norm. You're never going to go back to the norm, but you can at least reduce the crazy. I'm only doing this if I make $1 million, or I'm only doing this if I make $100K a month. It's like you need to find a middle ground there. Otherwise, your whole life will be very hard to find any meaning in it. And that's what I knew because. Yeah, I maybe it was a video I watched, the Bob Proctor paradigm shift one. It was like, fuck, shit, I'm not working towards anything here. What are my goals? What am I doing with my life? I was an osteopath and I was doing it fucking 10 hours a week, treating 5 patients a week. Just like I cared. I enjoyed helping people. I knew that. And then it was like, well, I don't actually like this. And then it stopped because of the lockdowns. And then that was like, fuck yeah, I've deleted this stressful thing in my life. And then that's when the whole match betting education started. It actually started a month before that as I was going to educate on Forex. So think of this match betting business was going to be Forex. Like I didn't plan the match betting business to be like this, but that was the idea, is educate people in some way. But then in hindsight, then I lost my 14K trading Forex and realized I fucking had no clue what I was doing. And then started the match betting videos. Originally was supposed to be for the USA. Realized that the Australian market was where I knew like everything that I knew. USA, I knew nothing. Started making the videos, and I'll tell the story now about how the business was started. March or April 2020, started making them. Didn't want to show my face. Didn't want to have any like link back to me. It was just voiceovers. Had a massive confidence thing. Didn't want to be on camera. Also wanted to be private. I think because the Forex guy that I'd learnt off was private. He'd just make videos with the PowerPoint and no face.
Nonsense Forex.
No nonsense Forex. And if you look at his setup of his PowerPoints, it's exactly how Hustler started. But yeah, the 3-month period was from May to August where we just hammered. And I made 30K in that period sitting with you guys for maybe 10 weeks on Saturdays. Then I stopped and then I finished Platinum, launched Platinum, I reckon July of 2020. And then it started off as $300 for Platinum. So for those of you out there, that's what you're getting now was $300. Obviously much better now, but that's how it started. I think first 30, then it was $499, then it was $749, then it was $897. And by the end of 2020, I actually went overseas through the lockdown, and then I was in quarantine coming back in Perth because you had to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. And I was speaking to the boss of Blokes and Their Bet Slips, Bryce Livingston, and he was aware of Trumpy's Tips method. And he's like, man, you need to launch this as a tipping service because it prints money and it works.
It came from Price.
Yes.
No shit.
And I'm sitting there in the hotel room and we had about 40 members to this point on Platinum. It was just me and Kiro. And you guys didn't exist yet in the business, obviously existed. But then I think the 2 days before I left the quarantine, he told me that idea. Within 2 hours, I'd made a free Telegram. And then I think it was the week after I started sending tips out, sent it to you boys. I said, this is what we're doing. And then we had a call. And I want to get I'm not going to tell the story now because I want you guys to see your memories of it. Do you remember the first call or the messages pitching Trumpy's Tips, or you don't?
I remember one call.
Yeah, that was, I think, like it's in like the percentages chat. Like
yeah,
that was a bit after.
That was in 2021.
What's your understanding of how it started then? Because obviously Platinum had existed for 6 months, right, to this point, end of 2020. And it was like, okay, we're starting Trumpy's Tips. What was do you remember how it started or how it was pitched at all?
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's anything too crazy to remember from memory, but I remember, it started mid-December and it was just, we're going to teach people how to do.
Yeah, we send the tips out.
The tips, yeah.
Do you remember how we started getting people involved in it?
Yeah, through the Facebook groups.
Yeah, do you want to tell
I remember it was Australia Day. Australia Day 2021 was when we had a huge session that we farmed like 900 people into the Telegram channel.
How did we do that?
There was, oh boy. Well, do you want me to tell the truth?
Nah, tell the story. Do you care?
I don't know. I think it's disingenuous.
That's just what happened.
Oh, I don't really. It's
We're not sending out bung tips. We're making people money. It works. But
it was actually a bit of a.
Well, you can tell what you. I mean,
It just shows a full lack of skill, like just a genuine skill issue back in the day.
of course,
It did, but
we
it
didn't know any better.
we also knew how to appeal to gamblers. So I mean, look, I think we're all knowing what I'm about to say.
We conned gamblers to matched bet
Yes.
without them knowing.
Correct.
Yeah,
We actually put a post up in one of these groups. I think
one of the DGen groups.
Well, I used to fucking own half of them.
yeah.
I bought a couple of them. There's
Yeah.
2 that I bought, but the big ones.
There was one where Tom
Blokes.
just sent all of his huge winning bet slips to the group.
It's true.
This is what we did, and then we posted a group, posted a message.
It was my bonus multi wins.
Yeah. There was huge bet slips, and we just posted basically saying, "Hey boys," I don't know who posted it. I can't remember. I think it might have been my account, my Facebook account. Hey, we've got all these tips. I've been in the industry for years. My grandfather's been in the industry for years. My dad's been in the industry for years. We see punters losing on the punt too much, and we want to help change you. Send us a message, and we'll send you a voice message and a Telegram link, getting people in.
It was free.
And it was free. It was free. And so then we were basically putting them into the Trumpies Tips free chat. And we got literally Australia Day. There was or it was the day after Australia Day. So I remember I was hungover as fuck doing it. And it was like a 10-hour session just forwarding voice messages and links to the Telegram chat. And the voice message that I sent people, I still see that voice message every now and again. People come up active online and I click on them in my messenger and it's that voice and it's that message. I'm like, unbleunable. And I got
Should
these
we play it or no? That's silly. Don't play it.
It's silly. It is silly, but yeah, this was the first ever. I remember that was when I learnt the term funnel. It was then because you were like, I think you started saying we're funneling people into the.
But man, it was the easiest thing because all you were doing, that's elite. You said you conned gamblers to match bet.
Yeah,
like
We did.
It was
literally what we did.
In any scam though, the person getting scammed normally loses. But this scam, you actually win.
Yeah.
But they didn't know it yet.
yeah.
Well, we just did, like Steve said, funnel. If you look at, and I'm just going to bring in like real-time relevant examples, Benny Scarf creates this, he does bet slips, he does cash, exactly what we've already done. You get people's attention, right? And then because they see all this money or cash or winning bet slips, they whatever you tell them next, they'll follow. So we learned that. And then we're like, well, if they get into this Telegram, they got it for free, but they might learn how to turn bonus bets over and see that this actually makes money. And that's how some of our OG members that are still today, that's where they started. That's where they found us. So Benny Scarf doing the same thing right now and then puts a link on his, join my Facebook group, Be Gritty, right? We just did the same thing, but join our Telegram, Trumpies Tips.
Yeah.
Join these Trumpy Tip boys. Like they're making everyone money. So they literally did the same thing. Like it's not rocket science what we did. It's just funny looking back on it now because we're making content explaining what we're doing and how it works and how it will benefit them. And we didn't have the confidence or the ability or the skill to do that when we started. So we're like, well, we know that punters like bet slips and we know that punters want free tips. So we'll just give them bet slips and give them free tips. And little do they know we're just doing match betting. And that's how they started making money.
Yeah. If you did this same method now, it would work.
Of course it would.
Because you go on a Facebook group like Be Gritty or blokes in their bet slips, I don't know how many people in there, probably like 500,000. And there'd be one person that just says, hey, I won this. And fucking 100 people saying, give me
Send
your
me
tips.
next tips.
It's like, man. So all we did, and even before this, the reason why I knew this was because I did it for Hustler, did it for the first few people. The first few members were coming from either people that I knew directly through my own personal Facebook, personal Instagram. But I would just sit in the comments and just talk to people and say, man, why would you do this when you can just match bet? And people would just rinse me and say I'm an idiot and no fun at parties. And then the odd person would just come across. Then I'd manually send them a voice message, send them the free course. They learn match betting, they join platinum, they make fucking heaps of money. So we just mimic that with the horse system, Trumpies Tips. Then eventually we got, I think it was about 1,300 people in there. We also, that was in the tipping channel. We then had the free chat. And obviously the education back then was shit house. We had a PDF that you made, which had like
Had Donald on it.
Yeah, we do this. We send out tips with this promo list, and you should pick a unit size based on your bankroll. Follow the tips, turn your bonuses over. Here's a video. That's it. That was the education, and that was free. Then we went to making this cartoon video, which explained what the horse system was, what Trumpies Tips was, and then it was just people in the chat. You get gamblers coming in because these people are fucking full DJing.
They're straight from punting groups, yeah.
Come in and here's the tips, 3 lose in a row, fuck this, and everyone's fucking abusing each other in the chat. It was fucking, it'd be funny to go back and read. And there'd be people that come in there remember that fucking D-Jan or something? Remember that boy?
Oh, I do remember him. Dejan or
fucking, he'd just come in there and he'd lose fucking 1,000 for the day because his own tips or whatever, and then he'd come in and rinse us every time we had a losing day. It was pretty funny. And then eventually we got about 700 people remaining in that group, or maybe it was 1,000. And then we launched paid. We launched the first ever, I think it was about March
4th or March 5th.
2021.
Was the first Saturday.
I thought it was Feb we started collecting payments on
March.
Stripe.
Start of March, I reckon.
Yeah, start of March.
Yeah.
Laura was sitting next to me. I remember we sent it out. We launched it. We got Stripe involved. We started setting up some stuff. We had a website. It was fucking ItBet now at the time.
Yeah.
And then we launched $9.99 weekly, $34.99 monthly, $94.99 3-monthly. And we just got like 30 people and we thought we fucking clocked it.
No, legit.
Yeah.
I
It was the best
remember
feeling.
the first dollar ever hitting, like going through Stripe. I'm like, holy shit, people are actually
Because
paying for what we built.
They'd already followed us for 2 months and they'd probably made 100 units or so. And they some people just fuck yous, fucking charging cunts and all this, whatever. But then the people that have joined, some of them are still around today.
Some have been on podcasts.
And yeah, I mean that's
Some
how
are
it
in
started.
mentorship.
Yeah, legit.
Literally.
One of the guys who actually came across one of those big betting slips is now working with Greenie, making like 50K a month. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the story on how it all started.
I remember I want to add to it.
go.
I do want to add to that because, yeah, we had a lot of people following in the free tipping channel. And then when we went paid, I think we got about 30.
Yeah.
But there was 1 weekend or 2 weekends and it was the end of March. So we'd been paid for 3 or 4 weeks at this point. And there was back-to-back 35-unit Saturdays or something. And there was one particular weekend I was away. I was down in Echuca. I was on like a cricket trip. And you were tipping. And you were just hitting winner after winner after winner, and new member joining was just coming through. And I was away on a cricket trip, just hammered, just watching all these new members coming through and all these units flying through. And that just literally took us off. I reckon we got like 60 new members over like that next 24-hour period or something. Yeah. And it was just, it went flying from there, which was, a really memorable moment for me.
Well, when you think about now what we know about business, we actually did a lot of the fundamental things from day one without actually realizing what we were doing in terms of like we mastered a skill, match betting. So then it was like, well, we started doing it for our mates for free because they were texting us, all right, we'll just make this chat and they can learn how to do it as well. And then, maybe their mates or other people want to do it for free. And then we just make as you said, free Telegram and started funneling people in there. And then after we started doing that, it was like, well, fuck, it's actually a fair bit of work now and there's a lot of people in there. Maybe they'll pay us for it. And then once people started paying us, we're like, well, maybe we can, then we started to work out that people were leaving or they didn't understand long term or they didn't know how to make, turn bonuses over properly. So let's make a better promo list or make some better education or send them better voice recordings. Then we started coaching people. And then from there, like we just did all these fundamental things without realizing. And it got to the point where maybe thousands of people will pay us for this stuff if we do it properly. And then, 4 years later or 4.5 years later, we end up having a business that a lot of people will pay for our education and our knowledge and our services because the whole way through we just kept making improvement here, improvement there. This doesn't work. We worked out this, change the agenda. Anyone that's here for less than 12 months, it's pointless. You just start making all of these improvements without even fucking realizing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting here making this, laughing about what we were doing 4 years ago and just thinking, what the fuck?
No, well, yeah. Something that we sort of brushed over was every Saturday for the first 3 months, we were all working for basically 8-9 hours a Saturday on a Saturday. That's how, like, people would hear that and go, I'm not working for free. We were all doing it for free for 3 months before we even charged a single cent for it. Obviously, hustle was happening at that point. I know there was a question you had on there, and I think it could be a good segue across based off what you were saying there, like all the learnings and all the changes and all the turning points, let's call it. What do you think was the biggest turning point or learning that has happened throughout? I mean, there's a lot of learnings over a 4 or 5 year period, so trying to pick one is pretty hard, but if you had to.
Well, one that sticks out for me, maybe not learnings, but like a turning point was, as I said initially, like we conned punters to start match betting. That's how we initially like got people. Like we literally conned them. And then I think once we had it, we posted a TikTok. I reckon it was a TikTok of myself showing the graph or explaining why the graph goes this way. And I think we got like 70 signups in a week from that. And that was when I realized that we no longer had to farm individual people. If we just start like explaining match betting a bit more and have like a presence online, that was when I first realized, holy shit, we can actually just post videos. And I think that was our turning point in terms of like, we just started hammering TikToks.
Yeah, interesting.
So I don't know what I learned there, but just more so understanding that other people saw value in it as opposed to like trying to beg them to do it.
It was the power of content, firstly. And I've got on the notes here, TikTok. I think TikTok, I would say, is the main reason we blew up through 2021. Like, that's a 60-member video. And then we actually put a paid ad on it.
Did nothing.
Because we thought it was going to keep getting more, and it got like 2 more. It was like double the views, but 2 more members as opposed to 60. It was weird as.
But that's something that just sticks in my mind. It's like something we tried and it worked, and then just changed the way that we did things as we move forward. What about you?
I just want to add to that. I remember having a bit of a mental block that people don't want to learn about match betting. People only want to learn about gambling. So I was like, why would we? I remember when you first started saying, should we, you pitched us Trumpy's tips or whatever it was at that point. I was like, people don't want to learn this. They want to learn how to punt. This isn't fun. This isn't gambling.
Well, what's their aim though?
Yeah, well, obviously this
money.
is sort of the aim's to make money, yeah. But we didn't try and educate them that way. We had the conning.
Well, I mean, in that one, But I'd already done the same thing and just helped people personally on the DMs myself, like through my own personal Facebook, and then I'd create groups. I'd get like every single person, send them a template voice, and then just funnel them all into one group. And then there'd just be like a chat, like a Discord. And you'd get people asking questions, and then you just get fucking one person say it's a scam, and then every fucking person says it's a scam, and then they're all gang up on you and just like, okay, new group. And it's just like repeat that over and over again. Then 5 people would come through, and then eventually people work out it's real because you post more stuff, you explain it with a voice message. Because there's scammers everywhere, but when you start explaining it in a voice message and you tell the story, people are, oh, fuck, this guy's actually a real person. He's not some bloody Nigerian scammer or something. But yeah.
Con's probably the wrong word as well. Like, I don't mean it like that. I just more so meant the only way we thought people would see value is tips and free.
Yeah.
So we did, like Steve said, like no one's going to want to listen to how to turn a bonus bet over. Okay, we'll give you free tips. You just have to join this Telegram channel. And then from there, we'll back ourselves in, or we'll at least try and show you how to turn bonus bets over.
To add
But it was making them money.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's why con is the wrong word. But we just used what we knew punters liked to try and convert people to match betting.
Yeah. No, I got nothing else to add.
Yeah. I mean, you could go, how far do you want to go in the business? My biggest turning point was later in this business than at the start. It was more when we came together and merged as equals, I guess, because Platinum was separate to what was previously the horse system was called the system. Platinum was Hustler. Now we're all the system, and then we have horse system and sports system and Platinum under it. But yeah, last year, 2024, we had a massive fight at the start of the year around, I guess all 3 of us we have these periods where one person would go overseas. Tom would go overseas for a month and a half, do less work over there, obviously, and then come back, hey, Tom, your percentage should be decreased now. Or JP, you were away in Iceland, fuck you, you shouldn't be getting the lion's share anymore of this business. Or Steve, fuck you, you just went to Boxing Day and got hammered and didn't do anything for a week, so fuck you, you deserve less. And that just was the cycle for the first 4 years of our business, which is embarrassing now to talk about, but that's just how we were. We didn't know any better. And there was a huge element of toxicity through the business. Even though we were all winning together, without a fail, every month there would be a blow up somewhere between all of us. Me and Steve used to clash. I don't know, you guys sort of, not as much. Probably me and Steve were the biggest.
Yeah. I've said this to Tom though. I never felt like I could blow up at Tom.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know him as well, whereas I knew you better, so I didn't have a problem calling you a
Yeah,
cunt.
because you guys didn't even know
Literally,
each other.
that was,
Yeah.
No, hardly, yeah.
You guys had never met in person until the business had started maybe 6 months in, which is
It was at your house.
Yeah.
We met for the first time. And I remember, because I'd looked at your Facebook display picture and I thought you were the other guy in the display picture. So then when I rocked up to yours, I was like, oh, you're the other guy.
And he thought your last name was Naya for ages. His last name backwards.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, that was the biggest one because we sat down, we had a meeting, and then we basically just said, enough of this shit anymore. We're all over this. I don't even know what we said, but then from that point, that was the biggest change for me personally. That's the biggest biggest turning point, I guess. But there's fucking hundreds through the periods of just raising the ceiling on what we thought was possible through 2021, 2022, more people coming in. Because for the first 3 years until, when did we get this office? Last year.
2023.
End of 2023.
No.
Yeah, exact day we moved in.
April,
2023.
So we're about to enter our third year in the office.
Yes.
We've almost done 2 complete
In April
ones.
will be 2 full years.
So 2023 April was when we were having discussions for about a month. That's when I'm talking about, that's another turning point because we actually merged.
Yeah.
Because we would have these discussions and I have like majority of platinum, which is what, it was at the time. And Tom was doing customer service and talking and taking free calls and doing the DM. So he'd get like a commission on that. And I mean, we won't get too into the details. And then the horse system was essentially split even-ish, right? And then we're like, well, fuck, if we're going to grow this together, Steve had fucking zero incentive in platinum, zero, right? What's the point, right? And then we're like, well, this is a bit weird. He was still working at the bank. We're telling him quit his job. Were you still working at the bank 2023? Yeah.
No, I'd quit by then. I quit end of 2022.
Okay.
Got old mate to sort me out.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
But then it was like, fuck, I was having issues essentially giving up my baby, even though I wasn't giving it up in hindsight because 3 is better than 1 as a growth. And I knew this. I knew that I could do it by myself because I had to that point. But I knew deep down that it wasn't going to grow like a business and a company without you guys. And it was like we had these discussions. Lenny was getting involved in them because he just moved down from New South Wales. And then it's a very hard time for me to just be like, to let go and just accept that if I give up stuff, it's going to come back and we're going to grow way bigger. And to prove that right, that's what happened. And that was the first turning point. And then last year, once we stopped having those fucking baby arguments, that was the next one. So for me, they're the two. But yeah, I mean, the first 3 years was just us throwing shit at the wall. There's TikToks where I remember you made a video of your betting accounts, how much they're worth. That one printed like 250K TikTok. And there's videos where I rinsed sports bet and bet with mates when it first started and just got mass following. And there'd be videos where I'd get 70K and then like 50 platinums join in the next 2 weeks. Like it's just crazy. For me, that was another light bulb moment, is the power of organic content and the power of TikTok specifically, which we haven't used as much anymore because we have YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that, which we don't rely on anymore. And we get videos banned, having like maybe 40 accounts banned as well. But yeah, they're the three. Did you already say yours?
Oh, I haven't, but Tom can go.
Oh, I just think the biggest thing that we've done that's propelled us forward was after same time period, but like meeting with Jared, Jared is just a name on this podcast, but obviously family friend, but guru in coaching CEOs and businesses and planning and teaching them how to work together. And basically what he does with big businesses all around the world, we're obviously tiny in comparison, but he works with some of the biggest businesses in the world and goes in and sits with them and meets with the key stakeholders and works out what are they trying to achieve, how are they doing that, and then he literally sits down with every member of their team, gathers intel, and then helps the group of individuals work together as a team to achieve whatever the team target is. And I had been reaching out to him a couple of times. I vaguely knew what he did, but was always just looking for advice. This was kind of after you guys rinsed me in that next 6 months, I kind of took it upon myself to level myself up. So I wanted to grow and learn and understand what the hell was going on. And then I just went down this rabbit hole and ended up asking him some questions and whatever. And that came about. And he said, I think it'd be super beneficial. Happy to do this for you, but I want to sit with JP. I want to sit with Steve. I want to ask you guys all these questions, learn about you for a few hours and then I'll do a presentation for you. And to be honest, I had no idea what it would be. I remember pitching it to you guys. I'm like, I think this would be a good idea. Let's just do it. Probably some hesitancy from you. Who the fuck's this Jared guy? Whatever. But like, we'll just do it. And I just remember sitting in there. So he met up with all of us, did like 90 minutes with each of us. And then he came in on a Sunday morning. I think it was like 8 a.m. Sunday morning. We're all in here Sunday morning. And he just presented to us for like 2 hours. He had this big slideshow. He had all these things. He got us to do all these activities. And I just remember when he left, because he's like, you guys don't understand. You've built, like, what you've built is elite. He's like, I don't think you guys understand. You're all pretty much aligned. You have a few things that you don't see eye to eye on. But if you focus on this, Tom, and you focus on this, Steve, and you focus on this, JP, and you understand that if you're all working on different parts of this business, you will move forward way faster. And I think for me, that was the first time I ever thought, oh yeah, that fucking makes sense. We can move forward 3 times as fast, because if Steve does something and we don't have to look at it, and JP does something, we don't have to look at it, and I do something and you guys don't have to look at it, makes sense. We're not all 3 of us doing the same thing. So that for me, I was like, holy shit. And 12 months on from that, like, we're now in a position where it's like, let's get more help. Let's go and learn this. Let's try and do that, because we just saw what happened 12 months ago and we got to here. So I think JP always speaks about like going and buying skills and expertise and time. And although that guy, Jared, gave it to us for free, like I've told people, his son, who's my best mate, I'm like, man, I'd pay him $100,000 to have that exact same session again at the start of every year. And he's already rinsed me because I said, like, I want to pay you, and he just full rinses me. But that's my biggest, like, we always tell people you can go and like, you can fast track your progress, but we've now done it. And then even just the planning this year, just kind of having go back to the start of the podcast, we talk about how everyone's like paycheck to paycheck thinking about how am I going to make ends meet by the end of this week, and we were the same in the business. How much money did we make this week? Or how many new members did we get? Or fuck, we lost 8 subscribers, and we're looking at like, we lost them because this video is not good. So let's all fix this video next week. And we weren't really thinking about what will we be if we have 1,000 members in 12 months, or, you know, at the end of this year, we want to have 3,000 members. What is that going to look like, and who's going to do that, and how many coaches do we have, and how much content do we have? And now that we're thinking about those things and all working towards them in our own areas, that's the biggest thing that I've learned. And I'm like, it'll be fucked just to do this again in 12 months and see what the business is. So that's probably my biggest learning.
Sorry to interrupt. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. I just wanted to let you know, in case you're not aware, we have a free matched betting course, which will teach you how to make $1,000 absolutely risk-free. And we'll do all of that in 5 videos that total 32 minutes. If you want to find that free course, after you finish this podcast, jump into the description and you'll find the link directly to the free course.
Do you reckon, this is a bit of a philosophical question off the back of that, do you reckon you have to learn the hard way?
No.
Nah.
Yes.
Like, it's so hard to know. Now we're so aware. Often when we're talking about something and we need to do something and we can't do this, it's like we got a skill issue. And we're so aware that we have a skill issue. And so we're so open to going and finding how to fix this skill issue. Whereas in the past, we didn't even know we had skill issues. So how the fuck were we going to fix?
So skill issue is like a very high-end term, I think.
Yeah, probably.
People won't know what that is.
No, that's true.
What is it?
Do you have the skills to complete a task, to solve a problem, to achieve a goal?
Yeah. More generally, it's like, I am shit at this. I could be better. And admitting that, I think, is skill issue. To like, pretend you go and play a musical instrument, you got a skill issue if you've never touched a musical instrument. You can't play the trumpet, you got a skill issue. For us, admitting that faster and less arguing and just being like, fuck, we're done. Learn.
But where I think where for that one you need to learn the hard way is you don't know that you have a skill issue until you have the self-awareness to realize you're fucking shit.
Yeah, so how do you get that? How I get that?
How do you get that?
Is by identifying people doing the same thing that are fucking
way better.
The Flemington straight away, I can't even see them.
Yeah, but define better.
Yeah.
Objectively, whatever it is. For example, in match betting, if you think you're good at 5K a month, there's someone making 300K a month. There'll be someone in Australia doing that.
100%.
And more. So what is that person doing that you're not? And you think you're good at 3K a month. They're 297K ahead of you. So they're doing something different, which is more skill, more knowledge, more experience. In business, compare our business to fucking some NAB or something. Like, obviously they're different businesses, but like we're in the same comparison. So I don't know, is that the answer you wanted?
Yeah, I just think it's very subjective when you're comparing, because how do you know you're shit? Just because someone else is making more money than you. I don't know if you can just accepted your shit.
Goals,
That's
your
why I was
goals.
trying to get you to dive. Like,
Your goals
break that
potentially.
down
If
more.
you want more or you think you can be better, what are you doing about it?
Because when I think of skill issue for us, like when a clear one used to be that we identify without knowing it at the time is like so many people were unsubscribing from the horse system, right?
Yeah.
So we used to think, oh, they don't get it. They're idiots. They don't get match betting.
Yeah.
That's what we used to think, right? Then we realized we aren't teaching these people properly. They're no hope.
Yeah.
Unless they join in the first month, the horse system does 40
Literally.
units, they're not staying. Why would they stay? They don't understand it. So without us, we never at the time said we have a skill issue, but instead of like blaming other people or going like they're idiots, they're degens, they don't get it. It's like, no, let's just build a situation where more people that join get it. And so that's what I think about when I think about skill issue. It's like there's certain things we want to do moving forward, right? We want more people to know about match betting. Okay, well, are we posting 20 pieces of content a day? We're not. Skill issue. We don't know how to do that without dropping everything else in our business. The other thing might be, I think at the start of last year, I might have been taking 20 free calls a week. So if I'm taking 20 free calls a week, which they used to go for longer. Let's say they went for an hour. I'm just making it up, right? You plan for them, you could take them, you do the notes after an hour. So 20 hours a week I'm spending speaking to potential members on the phone. But then you guys want me to do this or I want you to do that. And it's like, well, I can't do that. So the skill issue is there's no world where we're going to be able to field 50 free calls a week because Tom can't take them all. Okay, let's get Max and Fudge to start taking them. Max and Fudge start taking them. We're getting no platinums. Why are we getting no platinums? Jeepers, I go listen to their calls. They'd laugh about this now. You listen to their first calls and it's like, holy shit. I just assumed that if someone else picked up the phone and took the same calls that I'm taking, they would just turn into platinum members, but they wouldn't. Now we have another skill issue. So that's kind of what I think about. The skill issue when I look at like Hamosi or whatever is I'm like, there's just some of the things that he speaks about. I'm like, my God, that just sounds like heaven, but it sounds like 40 levels above where I am. So I don't know what the skill issue is yet, but I just understand that we have certain skill issues.
You're always going to have a skill issue. That's the dangerous thing because it never ends. The life of seeking improvement never ends.
Yeah.
But it's a good life because you always learn. If you are someone who knows everything, you never learn more. You're done.
But I think learning that
Yes.
in itself, you have to learn that once. And how the fuck are you going to learn that once? Then once you do, once you realize there are skill issues, I don't know what they are, but then at least you're like trying to seek them and trying to solve them.
For me, it's being told. For example, like when Leo comes in and just says, you guys are idiots. You're full retarded. Like you're doing this, like it's wrong.
Yeah.
Or when Jared comes in and he doesn't rinse you.
No,
he just says
provides
it.
like a path
Yeah.
or like a set of things that you should do.
Yeah. And you're just like, okay, we're not doing that.
Makes sense though. And then we try and do it. And then we start having some success from doing it and then realize that we should have been doing this the whole time.
Yeah. And you mentioned a couple of things in there. One of the biggest things I think is continuing to provide more value for the community, which we've gone and done and we'll keep doing. I'm not satisfied at the moment. Obviously it's a good level. I think we provide the best value in this space, but we want to provide more and keep doing that. Webinars, all the stuff we're building.
Well, all of those things came from those meetings.
Yep.
And then we look at the business as a whole and our whole community and it's like, okay, half of the people never try horse system. Why? Well, they don't know about it. How would they know about it? Okay, we better make some videos. Or it's like so many where you look in the coaching channels and so many members are struggling with non-promos. Why? Because we went back and look at our Platinum Squad non-promo videos. They're a year old and they don't make sense now. Okay, let's redo those. So I think the whole time, because the better we get at, I try to explain this to Lenny and Greenie and I think they're starting to understand it. The better we get at building a really good match better, the more members that we will get. Like it's just a byproduct of the better our product and service becomes, the more people that will just gravitate towards it because there's more success coming out the other end of this. You think of it as a big machine. We're dropping people in at the start of the machine, the people that came in the machine at the start compared to the people that are coming in today, like no different. So the people walking out are 50x the people that started, unless the people that started 5 years ago stayed in here and kept cashing in on what we were building the whole time. So and that's like a common, if you guys just sell courses and whatnot, 100% we sell courses, right? And we were saying this to Jackson the other day. We 100% sell courses and JP likes to say this, man, go and if it's so easy, Go just start, like build a course tomorrow, man. That'll take you 50
Build the
hours.
scam.
No, but legit.
build. Try and scam people.
That
Try and scam
course,
people.
you,
You won't get one sale.
you can build a course. It will take you 50 hours to build it. You guarantee in 12 months' time, that course, you'll have to spend another 50 hours to build it again to re-scam people because they've worked out the scam, right? So
Did you say 50 hours to build a course?
yeah, initially.
Depends on
What's
a
the
small
course?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like
10 minutes.
Just an
even
example,
whatever,
yeah.
50. Man, still for most people,
That's a lot.
Even including myself at the start of last year, if you do 50 hours on one thing, that's heaps.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
now,
it is
now,
heaps
now,
for the
probably,
average.
now, probably, you would think, oh yeah, 50 minimum. But like, I'm thinking 12 months ago, that's heaps.
Yeah.
But if you don't keep providing value, no one will buy stuff off us. Doesn't even matter if you say buy or join or whatever. No one will part with their money unless they at least initially think that we're providing them value, and they would only ever buy or pay for horse system or buy or pay for sports system or buy or pay for mentorship if when they joined, before they got to that level where they could potentially make that purchase, we lifted them up, or the money that they parted with prior was worth it. So the reason people join Platinum these days is because they parted with 1 hour of their time to do the free course, and at the end of the 1 hour, they realized that they now have a skill and an understanding to go and make money for free. So we told them, give us 1 hour of your time and your email address, and we'll give you $1,000. And then that happens. So then those people are like, well, now they're saying if I give them $1,000 to join their Platinum community, they're telling me that they can teach me how to make $1,000 a month. And the first thing they told me was true. So maybe this is true. And then those people that want to have a crack, they part with $1,000. Lo and behold, they make a shit ton more than $1,000 a month. And then they want the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that only comes from providing the value. So those poor people that are stuck in that mindset of, oh, it's a scam, if you could do it, right, like they're still going to be commenting on TikTok in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me sad reading those.
This has been a conversation that has popped up a lot recently because we've had a few comments online and a few haters, and the reason, like at the end of the day, we run a business, and of course we want our business to be successful because of course we want financial freedom and we want to live the lives that we want to live, and obviously money goes a long way. Of course, yes, we are selfish in that sense. However, we can only be focused on our business. The only way our business is going to grow is if we care about the people that are coming through our door. And as you said, we have spent time and money and resources and fucking everything, stress, blood, sweat and tears to improve that whole machine so that when someone comes through our doors, they leave a much better person. And whatever money that they invest into us is worth it 10, 20, 50, 100, infinite fold for some people. You ask Greenie, how much would you pay for Platinum? How much was Platinum
3
worth?
million.
3 million. Platinum was worth 3 million.
Like as a butterfly effect of
But
what
it's a
happened.
butterfly effect,
Yes,
of
he
course.
said it's worth 3 million for his life.
Of course. So everyone thinks, oh, you don't care about your customers. You don't care. Like we hate calling them customers because they're members of our community. You don't care about them. You don't care about them. You only care about your back pocket. 100% I care about my back pocket. You'd be fucking insane. I'd be a liar if I came out here and said I don't care about my back pocket and I don't care about my own finances. Everyone does. We're humans. We're all fucking selfish to some degree, and we all want what is best for us to some degree. However, they are mutually beneficial. What is best for other people is best for you. And people who think, oh, it's just a scam, you're just trying to scam people. No. It's not a zero-sum game, brother. It is a win-win. You provide them value. You provide them a service, a product that is worth more than the money they provide you, and everyone wins. That is the definition of trade. The whole world was built off this exact concept. Somebody farmer in fucking New South Wales has potatoes and someone has oranges in Victoria, and the bloody guy who's got oranges want potatoes and the guy who's got potatoes want oranges, and they swap and everyone's wins. It's the exact same concept, but unfortunately, they don't get it.
What you said there is fully spot on, but you said you care about your back pocket. I will tell you for free that if you care more about your back pocket than the person you're helping, you will make less for your back pocket.
100%.
And that's what people don't get. Tom explained it well. If we make people fucking $2,000 when they join Platinum and they paid $1,000 for it, well, fuck, they're not going to be like, oh, fuck, that was a waste of time. If we make them $30K, $50K, $100K, or there's further things that they can keep going after they break through that first idea and then they learn more and they learn more, if they keep making money, well, fuck, who wins? Them? Yeah, we got $1,000. They're probably made, like Greenie's made fucking heaps, can't say how much. And his total investment to us is probably like $3K. It's like, man, who won? Business or him? And that's
Everyone though. Everyone
Yeah,
wins.
we both did.
But like, who made more?
Yeah.
What I think the best businesses do, or best products, is the person pays way less than what they end up making. And
100%.
making's objective is just money. but it's what did you make from a learning standpoint? What did you make from the way you now perceive your life differently? What did you do? Did you quit your job because you now created a war chest from this? Put a price on that. It's not fucking $1,000. It's uncapped because it can just keep going more and more. And the impact that has on the further things, like Tom said, good decision, good decision, good decision. Yeah. And then you're here and then the other person's still here that didn't do it. And that only happens if you solve the problem for the consumer. And if you don't, and if you chase the money first when you are starting a business, free tip for anyone starting a business, you have to do shit for free. You have to solve the problems for free. You have to give value for free. You have to work for free. Because if you don't, then you're not going to get paid. And then you'll end up with 10 members and you'll realize, oh, fuck, this is too hard.
So we have 1,600 members now and you've got, 250 in sport and 500 in horse and whatever, 50 in mentor or whatever the number is, right? So people would look at that and go, that is completely fucked. But what you just said at the start, man, we've worked for free and this is 5 years in. So it's like we should get, 1,000, 1,500 new members this year because our content's better, because our coaching's better, because the course is better, because we have more successful members who want to talk about it and tell their friends, right? All that happens. So we might have 1,500 new members in 12 months, but it took 5 years and 12 months. Like, do you know what I mean? And a lot of people are just seeing the success or the output now, but forget or didn't know that the 4 years prior of struggle, of complete rubbish, of complete fucking blow-ups and fights and long nights and God knows how many all-nighters or whatever and rinsings and legit. Like no one knows that those things exist and that's fine. You're not supposed to know, but just understand that whether it's this or any other thing that you see that's blowing up, that's successful, even like billionaires, man, like, oh yeah, Elon Musk, like fucking he just sits there and prints money. Brother, he would have been sitting in a cave fucking writing code and, being called a loser and degenerate for 5 years before you even knew he existed. And then he starts making billions of dollars. So yeah, it's very easy to see like the final output, but forget that none of that happens overnight. And some of those judgments and comments probably do come from JP makes it look so easy now to make money, or like, oh, this guy gets it so easy. He just fucking talks about how he can drive a shit car and he has all this money and he's just going to fucking rinse me. And what does he know? And it's like, well, because he did it for 5 years, man. So like, he can speak about it. And I think that just gets so lost in social media and fucking seeing just the final output and not thinking about how that would have been created. Do you reckon there's any thought there?
No, I still stand by this. If you are hating someone, you hate yourself. Or something
but I don't even know
your
if it's
life.
like, I hate saying haters. Like
okay. No, but if you are writing a negative comment to a business or to a person or to a service or to a product, what are you writing that for?
Yeah, I fully
internally,
agree with you,
it has to be, I am fucking dissatisfied. I don't make enough money. I hate my job. Fuck this cunt. He's making more than me. Fuck him. I'm going to write a negative comment. Like, what do you write negative comments to people online?
No.
Do you?
I used to when I hated myself.
I used to not write them, but I thought them about people. When I was an osteo, I used to hate my work for myself, but I hated it. Someone would write like a post, fuck, I'm blowing up my osteo business. I'm so passionate. I'm like, fuck, like, why don't I feel like that? And that was internal. Like, I realized I hated it. And that's when
but how did you realize that?
Because I'm like, why don't I feel that way? Why don't I love this? So I wasn't smart enough at that point to realize that I needed to quit it. But I identified the feeling in hindsight. At the time, I didn't know, you're right. But then when I'm like, why do I want to feel hate towards that person? They're just promoting their own happiness. Why does that make me triggered? And then I realized it was because I was unhappy about what I was doing.
Yeah.
And now when I look back on it, it's just like, brother, you're just telling me you hate yourself. And hate is a bad word. Hate yourself is pretty bad. But it's just like something internally you don't like, so your instant reaction is fuck him. And it's like, work on yourself, fix up what is actually pissing you off, fix that, and I promise you won't hate anyone or have any negativity towards anyone else.
Yeah, it's not that like
hate's bad.
Hate just triggers people. People just hear the word you hate yourself and it just triggers them, and then they just completely lose track of what you're actually saying, which is actually coming from a caring, like thoughtful position of, I want you to get better, so start thinking about what you can do better. But they just hear you hate yourself and then they just hate you straight away. Better, but, but like, you're right, I do, like, you're never going to, if you see someone who is in a shitter position to you, you're never going to hate on them.
No.
As simple as that. And like, so many people say this and it's like, well, you're only hating on people who are in a better position because you want to be in that position, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a tough one. What would you say over the last couple of years, Do you think this office, firstly, is a good idea?
Yeah.
Why?
It'd be top 3 turning points for me, the office, for sure.
Why? I spend 2 days a week here.
No, it brought a different level of professionalism to this business because we were all of a sudden a company. We weren't just 3 guys operating out of our house. We had
Grandma's couch.
I'm not going to say the amount. I almost said it. Yeah, grandma's couch. We had a serious rent bill at that point for how much the business was making from a revenue point of view that we had to pay off in a year that provided me a bit of anxiety. And it's like, well, we got to adapt and we got to make sure that we can at least cover the rent for this business. It gave us a central location. It gave us a bit of more self-status, self-importance, we've done this. We can, who knows where this can go. It just brought us together. It just added a whole nother level of professionalism and seriousness. And, you know, you were probably still doing really long hour weeks. Obviously I wasn't even part of Hustler Squad there and Platinum Squad. So I was probably only doing 15, 20 hours a week, you know, for the years before that. I'm not too sure about Tom, but then we came in here and it probably took, I don't reckon getting the office was the turning point, but it was the start of it was the turning point, but it was a slow progression. It was slow growth. But then over the next 6 months, we went from coming in here and just pulling our dicks and piss farting around and chatting shit, and then starting to really get professional and serious and accountable. And then we rinsed Tom when he went to Europe.
Like August 2022.
And I reckon those rinsings, why those things happened as well, why those rinsings happen is because we are growing so fast. When someone would go away for 6, 8, even 3 weeks, you'd come back and the business is completely different. For sure. You lose track of what's going on. And so that's why the rinsing would happen, because it's like, well, you can't keep up with us now. And that was just immature from us, because it's like, well, hang on, this person, all 3 of us have gotten us to this point. They've gone off for 2 weeks. Like it's going to be fine.
Just full ego.
Full ego, yeah. But then when we rinsed you came back with a complete different level of professionalism that then just pulled us all to a different level. You started rocking up to the office at 6 a.m. and we were still coming in at 10 a.m. and you were just doing it anyway. And you didn't really mention it much. You just let your actions speak louder than words. And then eventually we all started to do it. And then you did say something and you're like, fuck, you come into the office at 6 a.m. for a month and everyone else starts doing it too. And I was like, fuck, he's right.
You know, like 3 hours of silence, like 3 hours of peace and quiet. And then I was like, fucking JB's here at 6:15 drinking his smoothie and fucking then Steve rolls in. I'm like, well, this is fucked. Might start coming at 10 p.m.
No, but then that was all of those actions, in my opinion, started with getting the office. Obviously, it meant that I went away from my full-time job as well, because that was sort of the conversation we had in November 2022. I remember I was in the car and you cunts were like, we're getting an office. Quit your job, we're getting an office. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, but did you have fear in that?
No, I had excitement.
Yeah, right.
I was, definitely excited, but like scared, but excited. But I just remember I was always thinking, oh, well, 3-year lease. If shit happens, I got no money in 3 years. Who gives a shit? I had a crack. I wasn't worried about it, but I was nervous, but I was excited more so.
I reckon getting the office has easily been the biggest and best decision we ever made, in my opinion. And I look at a lot of the opportunities people we met, people we've now worked with and collaborated with, people we've had in for meetings, whatever it may be, people we film podcasts. It's connected us with, you know, guys like Kyle and whatnot. Like all of these things only happened because we had this space. Angus, got him in here. Brian, got him in here. Leo comes in here. All of these people, they look at what we have as an opportunity. They want to leverage us and we can leverage them. And I think a lot of that came from this office. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I feel has happened because of that.
Unfortunately, people perceive you based on your surroundings. Like as much as I hate this, I drive a Honda Civic and people would look at my videos and think I'm poor. That's just the reality of who people are. If we have an office, people see the background and think, fuck, they're actually legit. Whereas if you're sitting with your grandma's couch in the background, then...
But even a lot of the content that we made that we don't make anymore was all made in here because of that. Like I think about like race day vlogs and stuff and we got an editor in and we could do all these things that we couldn't potentially do at home, which is huge. Film all the podcasts in here. Yeah. I know you had a little studio at your house, but like all of these things just blew us up completely.
Yeah. Because there'd be people, more older generation, like I know for a fact people think like this, parents, etc. They would see the cost of the office and they'd be like, fuck, you could just do this business without the office. That's the thought process. But as you just said, all of those things there are worth millions. Really, they are. And the stack approach of like the butterfly effect is worth millions of those outcomes. It's like that happened because of this, that happened because of this, that. And then if you take that all away, where we'd be now, who the fuck knows? That's going to be worth way more than the rent.
Definitely.
Personally, that's just how I view the
100%.
world now, more in an abundance. It's like, that's a cost, but like what's going to come from it? Is the upside higher? Of course it is. So fucking just do it. Obviously don't be reckless. But for me, I don't even think about those decisions anymore because I can see what comes from them.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going to come from them until you do that, is the thing.
Even just growing a team, lots of people that would be doing this would know. Like if you have a central location for your team to come and be able, like imagine working with Lenny and Greenie and Max and Fudge and being like, all right, guys, we're doing all these things, but like do them from home and you never see me face to face and we never chat because like, oh, you have to come to my house or we have to go. Remember we used to go to JP's house and stuff and he'd be like, oh, fuck. We got to go out to his joint. Like, what a pain in the ass. Steve lives out there. We never went to Steve's joint, thank God. But like, yeah, imagine going out there. Do you know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, we come here, we lock in, we do Mondays and Fridays now. It also allows us like every Monday, whoever's in Melbourne that can come, team lunch. Come in, we'll chat shit. Like that's invaluable in my opinion. So yeah, best decision we ever made.
For sure.
What is your biggest regret for the business so far? Do you have any?
Yeah, I think the delay in working with and listening to Leo is probably my biggest one.
Yeah,
that's mine.
Probably. I mean, I don't really have regrets as such because
I just see it as a missed opportunity.
It's a missed opportunity.
Somebody could have done differently.
Yeah, I don't lie in bed at night going, fuck, I regret that. I just look at it and understand if we thought and acted the way that we do now, that 100%. Conversation, we could have acted very differently and potentially been in a different spot now. But again, it's just learning the hard way.
It's learning the hard way, but it also then validates the mistake that we have learned from because we have since backflipped on where our mindset was at 18 months ago and we've reaped the rewards from it. So it's almost like if we start chatting with Leo 18 months ago and then he comes in and goes bang, 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 I don't reckon we'd appreciate how valuable it was because we hadn't tried it ourselves to some degree. So that's why it's like I don't have regrets because there's always something to learn from it, but definitely missed opportunity.
That's why I think you need to learn the hard way.
And that's why I asked the question earlier.
Yeah, because I mean, for me personally, the only reason or the best places I've learned is when I lose a lot of money or I make an error that's quite big, and then I'm like, oh fuck. Whereas maybe that's just me personally. Other people might learn in different ways. Me personally, I need to get fully rinsed, put in a grave, and just respawn.
Yeah, I don't think you need to do that, as in you personally, generally
it's
speaking.
Just what happens.
But by doing that, you will fucking learn.
Yeah, grow faster.
So it's a guarantee to learn.
Yeah, because you learn because you either, like Steve said, you have to learn or you're just going to get rinsed again.
Yeah.
But I would still not argue, but there's probably a train of thought where potentially I would head down this trajectory where it's like, if they sat in front of you and told you to do something and you did it and then you reaped the rewards, you don't necessarily have to have got rinsed because then it's like, okay, I'll do this again. It's like, I think of people that join our community, they might not have to get rinsed from the punt or they might just start match betting day one and they listen to what JP says and they do it and it works and they're like, well, fuck, I'm going to listen to the next thing he says. And I even think about like things that you've told me or like direction you've tried to push me in. Instead of having to get fully rinsed, which some things have happened, it's just like, all right, the last thing he said worked. Until it doesn't work, why wouldn't I listen? And so, yeah, that's why I don't see 100% you have to get rinsed. Yeah. But if you do get rinsed, the only way you can make progress is avoiding the same rinsing again. So I agree in that sense.
The hardest challenge there is having the awareness, is knowing who to talk to. And that's why, like, you've always said something. Yeah. Well, to an extent. No, I don't think so. Because it's like, you put yourself in a position where you're going to speak to more people. You've always said we should just hang around and surround ourselves with people who are smarter because then that's just going to expose our...
Well, after that rinsing that you guys gave me, that was when it was like, oh, fucking, I think I randomly found Angus and was like, oh, I'll just message him and see what he's doing. And then I don't know if the Leo combo was before or after that, but I reckon I asked Leo to come into the office as well because I saw him on TikTok and fucking sent him a message. Like, it was just random things where I was like, all right, I'm getting rinsed. I started listening to Hamosi. Hamosi's like, go and leverage people and learn from things and listen to people. And then I'm just finding these people and texting them and seeing what the fuck we could do.
Yeah. What happened with Kyle, with Pivotal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's where it's like sort of what I was saying before as well. That's having the ability to pause, take yourself out of the trenches and be like, there's got to be a better fucking way to go about this. which is sort of what we're saying. Like if you're just constantly just going toe to toe with your expenses or your trenches and your growth, you had the ability to just go, hang on, let's go and get some other resources and some other ways where we can massively grow.
Yeah, I can't remember who used this analogy, but it's like when you're playing Mario World or whatever, it's like you could keep playing level 10 and you keep encountering Bowser or whoever the fuck it is, and you keep losing and you're like, fuck, I got so close. I could have done this, could have done that. And then you pay someone $1,000 and he goes, oh man, before you get to Bowser, just jump down this green pipe, and it actually takes you to like level 15. And you're like, well, fuck me drunk. Like,
but if you're so fixated on, I've just got to fucking hit Bowser with a right hook this time. Yeah. You're not going to get past it.
I don't know who said that, but it's visually made sense to me.
There's a question that I still get every single week. If you made all the money off match betting, why don't we all just match bet? I know we've answered this before, but go around the circle.
Yeah. Well, personally, the reason I stopped match betting in the end of 2020, after only doing it for sort of 6 or 7 months, obviously I've started doing it a bit more recently, and I started up again in 2023, but I basically stopped because I got bored of it. I also had a skill issue, which I didn't know about at the time. I had no idea that I could have made $500,000 then. I just thought I'd almost capped myself, which a lot of people have that thought. But I was bored of it. I was simply bored of it. I got over it, and I needed the challenges, needed the problems, needed the thrill of the unexpected. And that's what this running a business that teaches people how to match bet provides to me, which is so much more valuable, so much more exciting, so much more enthralling. I love it. I get out of bed excited to do it. Match betting doesn't give me that excitement. And so it's more the money for me.
Hey there, hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you're not aware, we have a Discord with close to 4,000 members in it. If you want to join that Discord, just head into the description of this video and you'll find the link to do it. You'll be able to ask questions, you'll be able to associate with other members of the community who are also match betting, and you might be able to learn something. And of course, if you haven't done our free course and made your first $1,000 risk-free, there's obviously the link to that in the description as well. I hope you enjoy the rest of the pod. Tom?
Yeah, probably started as just ego. If I'm being completely honest, whether it came from seeing what JP had started doing with Platinum and then being pissed at him and then him giving the opportunity, or like painting the picture of what it could be in the future, I was like, oh, yeah, probably. And even for probably the first 2 years of working together, we used to beef. Like we would have arguments. I'd be like, oh, shut the fuck up, or don't listen to this, or you've got no idea. So I reckon that's what started it. Plus also there used to be those comments in like, I don't know, parents like want you to finish uni and like this is what you need to do and you need to buy a house. And I was just so determined to be like, I promise you don't have to do that. But I didn't have proof that you don't have to do that. So I think for a lot of the time it was like, people are laughing, or this is cringe, or this is lame, or whatever. And I was like, nah, fuck it. Like, I think this can work. I didn't even know if it would. And then I guess still I just always had in the back of my mind that if this shit didn't work, I would just match bet. Like, yeah. There was no like, I didn't feel like I had like there's a disaster. If this doesn't work, I'm fucked. It's just like, all right, if this doesn't work, I'll just start match betting on Saturday, or I'll go back to my 9 to 5. And I know I can get a 90 to 100K job with the skills and the past experiences I have. So like, that's the backup plan. And I always found it weird, and now I just find it like completely crazy. But the way I think about it is like those jobs that I could go and get for 90 or 100K based on what I've done and what I used to do, that's like worst case scenario. And I still can't even see myself doing that. And I just now am more motivated by the fact that I know that there are so many people working those jobs that I see as like the backup plan if I need to feed my kids and my family. And I know that there are so many people working them that full on hate it, because I've done it, and you're just a depressed piece of shit that just gets hammered every single weekend that like, all you're doing is just like making enough money to pay rent, pay bills. You get to go on maybe one holiday a year, and for 2 weeks of the year, it's like the best time ever. You're not worried about work. You turn your phone off, whatever. Maybe you got a bit more money because you save for it. And then you just go back to that cycle for the next 48 weeks where it's like dog shit. And I just know now what we've built and what we can do, that we can help more people not do that. And I've loved not doing that. So I think from here, it's just like, yeah, I could make money match betting, but like I'm just going to end up in the same cycle of Monday to Friday, unless I'm making hundreds of millions. And even then, like you just go down that pathway of like, that's all you end up doing. So it's like, I want to have something to show for it. Plus I know that I can directly help and benefit so many other people, whether it's people I know right now or know in the future. And for me, I reckon that's just like, that's pretty sick. Like That's what you get known for. That's what you're doing. How are you making money? Oh, I'm helping young blokes get their shit together. I'm making a lot of money doing it. Yeah, that's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, my two are helping people, number one, and the feeling that comes from helping people is like a second payment for me. And I knew this when I was an osteo because I used to treat people, make them feel better, and then I would feel better. And I didn't understand that until I was aware of it. And then I'm like, oh, cool, that makes me feel better. Then when I started match betting, it would feel good to make money. But towards the end of that 6.5, 7 year period, like I said, I was just making money. My bank account would go up. I'd make X dollars, feel good for 2 seconds, and then what? And for me, I got to the end of that, and I have done some match betting through the last 5 years of this business on and off. There was a period in October last year where I made 15K, and I did it for fucking 50 hours over 8 weeks, and I felt like shit because I'm like, I could have just invested that time on the business. And that was just the last kicker for me is like, fuck this. I don't like doing it. I make money from it, but nothing good comes from it. So the other thing I like doing is building shit. And I always like building the side hustles and then eventually now this business. And like you said, similar, it's like you learn how to do all this shit in a business. You have skill issues every day that you want to fix. You want to learn to get better. For me, it's a massive challenge running this business, whereas match betting is not a challenge.
Yep.
Like I feel like I haven't clocked match betting, but I was at a high level and nothing good was coming from it apart from the money. So it's like whatever. But the main one, why I get out of bed in the morning is because I know that if I make a video, I could change one person's life or 10 people's life or 100 or 1,000. And obviously I've been vocal about wanting to change 1 million. I think we're on the way to doing that through our community. Obviously being able to know that you are helping someone, like Tom said, is pretty sick to wake up in the morning and do. And to say that is what you're getting paid for and everyone else is winning as a result of it. There's no part of me that's like, oh, we're making money, but like that's bad. It's all good. It's all winning. Everyone's winning who takes part in our community. So that's the best thing, I think. If we were selling some shit like gambling tips that were losing people money, wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So that for me is why I do this.
Should be a lot easier.
Yeah. Match betting.
To some degree.
People say, well, like match betting would be harder or easier than running this business, do you think?
Match betting would be, there'd be different challenges, but
way easier.
It'd be way easier, of course. Well, it depends on to what scale.
Depends how much money.
We did a video. You had a video saying you'd make 10 million. And you start thinking about the challenges that would come there. Different challenges, a lot simpler the challenges, I would say. But
extreme end spectrum.
Of course, yeah. But of course, yeah, way easier to match bet.
So, yeah.
But the fact that number is even like when you go, match betting and 10 million comes in like to your mind. Like you're not making $10 million from this business personally.
No.
So then most people would go, why don't you just match bet then?
Yeah.
Well, that's the question.
Yeah, I know. But it's just funny that
people write that.
Of course.
You work, you choose to work, but you could just do this.
But the way Steve explained it is elite because when you say 10 million, I'm, doubting Thomas. I'm like, bro, there are 38 that's from the Bible, I think. There are 38. Is it? Yeah, I think
doubting Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas, the disciple, doesn't he not believe?
Not sure.
Not sure.
The one that stabs him in the back.
That's Judas.
That's Judas. Yeah. Okay.
No, I think it's someone else. Doesn't believe that he resurrected or some shit. Who knows? Don't quote me.
Right.
Haven't been in church for a while. Now I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, you go. Well, I could make 10 million from match betting, and you maybe could, but like Steve said, that would come with its own problems. And I sit there and think, bro, you would have to jump over 5 million hurdles. And I'm like, the way that I look at that, I'm like, we've already jumped over. Let's say for us to be able to make 10 million from this business, we have another 100 hurdles to jump over, but we've jumped over 400. For you to make 10 million from match betting, I think there are more hurdles to jump over for you to get there now than what it would potentially be for us to make it in this business. That's why I wouldn't go back to that, even though I think maybe that potentially would be possible. I could just see this in.
Well, even if it was 1 million or 2 million, what do you think's easier?
I would say 1 million personally from match betting would be easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
it would be easier for most people as well.
Yeah.
I would agree. But it has less scope.
Yes.
Ceilings, making 1 million would be fucking insane from match betting.
As in insane what?
Well, you would be top 0.1111 percentile of match bettors. If you make 1 million in business, you wouldn't even be in the top 1%.
I reckon, as in $1 million once or per year in match betting.
No, per year.
Yeah, it's only
Or even in
it's
a
only
12
$80K a month.
Even in a 12-month period. Yeah, but even in a 12-month period, I don't know how many match bettors would have made a total of $1 million bucks.
I personally wouldn't be able to do it. In terms of, I'd get 6 months in, I'd be like, see, nah, I can't be fucked.
You would.
Oh no, I'd hate
if
myself.
I had a gun to your head right now. No, don't worry about that. Just if you could.
If I could.
Yes, you could.
No, I'm saying I couldn't because I would literally kill
No,
myself after 6 months.
But you have. Okay, well, you're going to I'm going to shoot you at the end of 12. He's going to kill himself at the end of 6. Well, fuck. You're cooked.
I just wouldn't be able to do it. I just don't have any love or passion or desire, which goes back to the original question.
Yes.
It's like I much prefer to be doing this.
That's why I don't do it, because I can't be fucked doing that. Even though this is harder.
People just
I
that.
like this challenge more because it's harder. So I'm attracted to harder stuff.
But also, yeah. I mean,
do you think that people that work, this is probably a good to make it more relevant to people who think making $1 million match betting. If I told you that for the next 12 months, the job that you hate, you can make double your salary if you work double the amount of hours, how many people do you reckon would just 100% just do that?
not many.
So you're sitting here going, making $1 million. I just know I couldn't do it. And people are going, what the hell? But then it's like, all right, cool. You're working 80 hours every single week in the same job that you full on hate, and I'll pay you double. And so many people will just go straight away, no way. And then that maybe helps people that are listening to this understand why you're saying, bro, there is no way. Because if you're sitting at your job hating it for 40 hours a week, imagine you double it. That money's useless. Fully useless. Yeah. So that maybe helps people grasp what you're saying.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I started this podcast saying I was working a job that I was supposed to be loving. I'd trained for 8 years, studied my ass off, and I fucking hated it. And it wasn't worth what payout I was eventually going to get.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't worth it. I hated it.
And the counter to that would be, all right, gun to your head, yeah, you could work 80 hours a week for 12 months and make that money for sure, but you're not going to do it the next 12.
Yeah.
And then 12 after that, and then you're just going to be in the same spot still.
So if I had to ask you what this business is going to be in the next 5 years, what would you say, Steve?
A brand known to help people get their shit together and change their lives, change their mindset. We haven't fully locked on a motto or a slogan or anything, but it's around that: change lives, change mindsets, make people better versions of themselves, probably young men. I think reality is community and online communities are the future. This is just my own spin on things. And obviously, I mean, it's not a crazy statement by any stretch of the imagination, but the online world is only getting bigger and bigger, and young men, older men have always typically been known to struggle with mental health and mental struggles. And as the world continues to move more online, that is only going to extrapolate the issues for men's mental health and not having good role models and whatever it may be, lack of communities. Obviously, you know, I went yesterday back to my local cricket club for an hour, and it was great to be back there because it's just all dudes who, without that cricket club, would be struggling. And it happens, and you get a lot of like shit things happen, particularly in cricket clubs and sporting clubs with men and suicide and stuff like that. And you do wonder how much worse it would be without that. Anyway, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I think that's what we can really help provide a community online where people are getting their shit together and learning off each other and helping. And that's match betting for now, but that's the next 5 years, I think.
Tom?
Yeah, I would say in 5 years' time, we'll be able to... Our community would have grown, it'll be massive, and we would have made millions of dollars from what we're doing. And what that will allow us to do then is to be able to help the next kind of level of either members of our community or potentially even the next level of individuals in society that want to go and do or want to pursue things that we've been able to pursue and build and grow over the next 5 years. So in 5 years' time, assuming that everything goes the way it won't, and we're going to encounter problems and things will blow up and whatever, but I have faith and know that we're going to get to a position where we're going to make millions of dollars from growing this community, building this business, and who knows where it will go and where it will take us. But in 5 years' time, we will have the experience, the skills, the knowledge, and the proof that we've done that, and be able to then help other people who are either on that path already, maybe they're businesses that are making a couple $100,000 a year. That's what I'm going to look to invest, at least personally, my time and energy in the future to be able to help those other people who right now we're trying to help people break out of the mold, I think, which is elite. And I think that we'll be able to build this through coaching and through people that we've helped break out of the mold. They'll be able to do that and teach that to the same level that we can in a few years' time. So then the next step for us would be to be able to help the people that break out of the mold to then go and build that next level of wealth or that next level of skill or development. And I think after we've done it, that's where I'd like to focus time and energy on those individuals and helping them build whatever they want to build in the future. So that's what I think we'll be able to do after we've done it. And then again, like the lessons you learn from coaching and having people who can do the coaching and make the videos and run the service and the community the way that we could. If we can teach people to do that, we can then reach out and change. You want to change 1 million lives. I'm not sure personally right now if that'll be achieved in the next 5 years, but I hope that you do achieve that. But I know that if we build and succeed, there will be hundreds of thousands of people that will benefit from us being able to do that. So that's what I think will happen in 5 years.
Nice.
What about you?
Yeah, for me, it's similar to Steve's. I think right now we know internally what we do is changing lives through our community, our members. Our members know that, but I don't think the external audience are sold on that. Plus, no one knows who we are. If you look at the total following of our social media, we have maybe 30K combined across all of our platforms, which is a piece of nothing compared to what it could be.
Half of those probably think we're a scam as well.
Legit. So I think that one, to delete this like scammy connotation, respect, like lack of proof, but lack of knowledge of what we do. I want to really fix that, especially this year. And then whether we go global, not sure yet, but I think what we do, even though it is match betting now, it's written on our website, match betting is just our vehicle for now. Everything that we teach is transferable to other areas of your life. The way you think about money, the way you can get out of your job, create a war chest, don't do shit you hate doing, don't be DJing, gamble, drink, drugs, all those things. Like, yeah, do them, but know that they're going to fuck your goals. And just being able to influence more people on greater scale, essentially what we're doing now, just way bigger. And that's why the goal personally is 1 million lives. For me personally, similar to what Tom spoke about, I would love to take on more personalized coaching, maybe pluck 10 people and coach them through like a year of their life or something like that, life coaching, and be able to just farm them into like this crazy life that they couldn't have got to themselves. But right now, nowhere near the level that I want to be myself to do that. So that's on hold. And then maybe business coaching in the future for me personally. But again, we are, what are we? The Hulk Hogan? We're not the Hulk Hogan of business.
We think we are.
No, we're not. We're still tiny, but I don't think I would be comfortable doing that yet because I'm not at the level I want to be. So, yeah, I don't know.
We have the knowledge and the understanding of how you could be that person, but we haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And then once we have done it.
I don't think we have the knowledge and the understanding yet.
You don't reckon you could go back and coach Steve from 3 years ago to get to here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, to get to here.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For the level we've got to, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm talking about getting to Hulk Hogan level.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying.
The problem is, it's dangerous, is you are comparing yourself. Maybe not, I'm talking for you. But when you see some crazy guy doing this much in business at the top end of the spectrum, bro, you got to be careful comparing where we are to that because it never ends.
Correct.
I don't think that's me.
Okay.
Like that's not what, I don't see what someone else is making. That doesn't motivate me.
No, I know you don't want that, but sometimes I think we could smell the roses more than we do maybe. We're always looking to be like, fuck, we're shit. Fuck, skill issue.
Smell the roses more because other people are starting to smell our own roses. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I've got friends and families that are starting to smell the roses for me. And they're like, whoa, you guys are fucking blowing up. I'm like, oh, yeah.
That's. I think this is what I mean. Like, this is the spectrum. It's like, I don't know, a meter long, right? The spectrum, for those listening, I'm doing a visual. A meter long, and we're sitting at like 10 centimeters.
Yeah.
The majority of people are sitting at 1 centimeter. And we can compare ourselves to like 95, and it's a dangerous road because we're already doing very well compared to the average person, much, much better than the average person, right? The average person, the median salary is 65K a year, 108 average. And it's like, we've escaped that. And people should know that. But then you can compare yourself to those people and think you're fucking awesome, or you can compare yourself to people well above you and think you're shit. And we're in the middle now, but I'm not satisfied at all compared to what we think we can get to. So yeah, having the knowledge, having the experience to be able to do it for sure. But I don't think the time factor has happened yet. We've only done 5 years. So do a decade and then see what happens. That's, I think, where we're at. Anyway, if you've enjoyed listening to this, thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed watching this, thank you for watching. But if you don't know what we do, yeah, check the description. You can go make $1,000 off our free course. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.